The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Good morning and welcome to the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show. It is Thursday, March 17th, 2022. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a jam-packed show this morning. We will be joined at 8:30 by the team from ACT TV. We have a shot of them now. They are downtown Washington, D.C., protesting Fox News, bringing attention, rather, to a campaign to hold Fox News accountable. We'll be joined by Jocelyn McCurdy-Keats and Alex Lawson, both of ACT TV, at 8:30. The rest of the show is jam-packed. We have guests, we have insight, we have DJ exclusive, we have Rebecca Azor. Good morning to the entire team. Dr. Mack is out today. Georgia Fort is out today, but we want to begin, as always, with Black history. So Google, what happened today in Black history? Okay, we're having a technical difficulty with that clip. We will come back to that momentarily. I want to begin this morning with a brief conversation about Ukraine. Now, we're going to go into it in depth also with the team from ACT TV at the 8:30 hour. But President Zelensky had an opportunity to speak before Congress. It did exactly what we expected it to do. And we also expected to have the responses that we had from individuals and politicians like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Before we get to that analysis, let's take a listen to this brief clip and the translation of President Zelensky of Ukraine speaking.
Is being decided. The destiny of our people, whether Ukrainians will be free, whether they will be able to preserve their democracy. Russia has attacked not just us, not just our land, not just our cities. It went on a brutal offensive against our values. We need you right now. Remember Pearl Harbor. Terrible morning of December 7, 1941, when your sky was black from the planes attacking you. Just remember it. Remember September the 11th, a terrible day in 2001, when evil tried to turn your cities, independent territories, in battlefields, when innocent people were attacked. Our country experience the same every day, right now, at this moment, every night, for 3 weeks now. Various Ukrainian cities, Odessa and Kharkiv, Chernihiv and Sumy, Zhytomyr and Lviv, Mariupol and Dnipro. Russia has turned the Ukrainian sky into a source of death. I have a dream. These words are known to each of you. Today I can say, I have a need. I need to protect our sky. I need your decision, your help, which means exactly the same you feel when you hear the words, I have a dream. I call on you to do more. New packages of sanctions are needed constantly, every week, until the Russian military machine stops.
That was President Zelensky giving a statement before the United States Congress. And also Russian forces purposefully, according to reports, bombed and destroyed a shelter in Mariupol. This is according to NBC. A bomb hit the drama theater in the city on Wednesday, where hundreds of civilians were taking shelter. Ukraine's foreign minister said that many people were trapped and the number of casualties was not yet known. Earlier on Wednesday, according to NBC News, Ukrainian President Zelensky delivered a powerful speech to U.S. lawmakers that we just listened to, asking again for a no-fly zone for this exact reason. Now, there's a lot of debate. And let me phrase that properly. There are conversations in the discourse about the no-fly zone and whether or not it is appropriate, whether or not it would trigger World War III, et cetera, et cetera. But the fact remains that the only thing that Vladimir Putin has on Ukraine is air superiority, and that's it. There have been too many, quite honestly. I don't revel in this fact that I'm getting ready to give you, but there have been too many Russian soldiers who have been killed already. War is disgusting no matter who starts it. Death and the destruction that comes as a result of it is appalling. And so I don't celebrate the deaths of the Russian soldiers, but I will say that Ukraine is holding the line as it pertains to ground forces. The Russian military is getting decimated as they try to cross into the deeper areas of Ukraine. What they have at their disadvantage is a Russian Air Force that is bombing, it seems, indiscriminately, according to some reports. Now, we have to sift through all of it to see what is precisely accurate and what is not. But what is accurate is that Vladimir Putin started a war that is costing the lives of Russian soldiers and Ukrainian civilians. And so we'll talk about this a little bit more when we get to the 8:30 hour with ACT TV. Alex Lawson and Jocelyn McCurdy-Keats, both of ACT TV, will be speaking with them about it. I want to do a hard shift back to domestic politics and bring in our first guest, Harrison Tuttle, as Executive Director of Black Lives Matter in Rhode Island PAC and Black Lives Matter Northeast PAC. He is a Rhode Island political candidate for General Assembly in Cranston, Rhode Island. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. How are you today?
I'm good, Ben. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for joining us. I wanted to discuss with you the broader conversation of gerrymandering, but how it has impacted your campaign and your city specifically, and the political climate. We are in a redistricting year, and I know COVID-19 has distracted a lot of us from the census, but we are now feeling the impact of the redistricting. Tell us what's going on in your district.
Yeah, well, here in Rhode Island, although it is a Democrat-controlled state, it's deeply corrupt and entrenched with who do you know system, in which this current gerrymandering that went on here in Rhode Island just a couple of months ago resulted in numerous progressives being redistricted, and in my case, by 2 streets, into a completely different city here in Rhode Island. And so the committee was made up of appointees that were picked by the Senate president, that was picked by the Speaker of the House, Joseph Cicarci. And, although I wish I could say this is the first time, 20 years ago, this happened again. And so what we're up against here, Ben, is deeply conservative General Assembly leadership and politics. And as you see on the screen here, progressives who are running for office like Cynthia Mendez statewide, and even candidates that are running against the Senate president himself, Lenny Sio.
I'm looking at this video of you speaking on the screen. You also had a Twitter thread that caught my attention. You said you've been hesitant to speak on this issue as you often try to see the best in people, and you're open to working with most anyone in the pursuit of equality and liberation. However, you feel like you cannot avoid sharing your thoughts on this matter any longer. You went on and said the redistricting process has been completely untransparent and controlled entirely by 2 officials that you listed there. After the preliminary maps came out, you rallied dozens of people to testify against the blatant gerrymandering that was being forced on your district. What recourse, if any, do the people have with this type of redistricting in this late hour?
Well, it's simple, Ben. The solution is elect a new multiracial slate of progressive candidates in the General Assembly to get a progressive majority. And that's kind of where I want to transition into the Rhode Island Political Co-op. They're a nonprofit organization that helps train and recruit new candidates to run for office who have no experience in the political realm, but want to run off a shared platform that makes a difference and makes a government work for working class people.
No, absolutely. Tell us more about that. Tell us more about the difference, because one of the things you said at the beginning of this conversation, you highlighted the while the state is run by Democrats, it is still conservative leaning in some ways, and this power grabbing, power control is not being implemented by Republicans per se, even though we do see that happening around the country. I want you to really talk about the distinct differences between a progressive slate that is a challenge to power versus the power that holds power right now.
Absolutely. Well, I think when we look at Rhode Island specifically, it's a very small state. It's the smallest state in the country. And when we look at the elected officials that hold the seat, oftentimes those are passed down. I go to the Senate President Dominic Ruggiero, who got his seat nearly 30 years ago from his own father. And so when we're talking about being able to uproot a foundation of corruption and that entrenchedness that I was speaking about, these people that are elected for decades have been in an office without challengers because no one would dare to challenge them. And so when we run off a platform that is progressive, that does call for significant changes to healthcare, criminal justice, policing, and we could get into the fight for the repeal of Leobor, which is restricting police accountability when officers conduct misconduct here in Rhode Island. These types of issues that are being talked about are foreign to them. And the dynamics of the Democratic Party and the platform that the National Party even runs on is not consistent with the Rhode Island politics that we see here today.
So there's an inherent clash that's going on. I also want to ask you about the co-op because you are connected with Senator, and excuse me, the name, she's escaping me, but Cynthia Mendez. She did a homeless protest, was it last year? And we had a chance to interview her. Tell us about your connection with her and the overall spirit of, the overall spirit of the co-op.
Absolutely. Well, I first want to say that the Sleep Out RI I participated in and was very personal to me. As someone who has been homeless multiple times due to lead poisoning and toxic mold, I know exactly what it's like to literally go to school and not know where you're going to sleep at night. And that's happened twice. And so when I was offered by Cynthia Mendez the idea to get faith leaders and get members of our unhoused community to sleep out and demand that people cannot freeze to death out at night. My relationship with Cynthia was prior to that with BLM RI-PAC and us endorsing her to not only get elected, but do the great things that she's doing. And so the Sleep Out RI really put out a lot of pressure on this General Assembly. And it's sad, and it says a lot that people have to sleep outside the State House for over 2 weeks in order for them to provide something like 400 beds, and then not say that we had any impact on it. Wow. This is what we're up against.
Wow. Brother, tell us about your campaign. And I see your website, harrisontuttle.com. Tell us about your race and why you are the person for that position.
Well, although I haven't announced because of me being redistricted, I do plan on continuing to run and plan on announcing very soon. But what I'm running off of is a campaign that is for us, for working class people, for people that look like me of all different ages. I'm running off of a $19 minimum wage. For too long throughout the country and in this state, people have just been okay with struggling. The members of the General Assembly have just been okay with people in poverty. You cannot live off of a $15 minimum wage. And the reality is that in order for us to actually address the root causes of poverty, we can't be treating the symptoms. We have to look at what is directly impacting people. And so that's why I'm running off of a $19 minimum wage to make a livable wage. I'm running off being able to provide health care for all, which Senator Miller, who redistricted me, voted no for. And so I know that there are many questions around where I'm going to run, but I can assure you that I'm going to take my lived experiences and bring that towards the campaign and bring that to everyday Rhode Islanders who are not just supporting the wealthy, but are actually interested in improving everyone, not just a select few.
Not just a select few. Harrison Tuttle, Executive Director, Black Lives Matter Rhode Island PAC and the Black Lives Matter Northeast PAC, and also candidate for General Assembly. You can check him out at Harrison Tuttle, TUTTLE.com. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, brother.
Thank you so much, brother.
The pleasure is ours. I want to shift gears and go to a story that's coming out of Washington, D.C. This is a story that is being brought to us by a friend of the show, Chuck Modiano. We will have him on to discuss this further as soon as we get a chance to schedule him. But he's bringing to our attention a strike that is forming at Howard University. Now, one thing that we do at the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show, like it or not, and all the other shows, is two things. Is we always shout out and acknowledge our HBCUs. And we also support labor. So this is a good intersection of a clash between one of our HBCUs, which we love. We still love you, Howard. But the teachers, the professors there have an issue. Tensions on campus of Howard University seem to be stemming from frustration from a non-tenured track faculty members who have said that Howard is not doing enough to allow them to be successful at their jobs. Now, we have footage and we'll play it in a moment, but I want to read a little bit more from news1.com, who's doing this original reporting. The main concerns from the educators center on adequate pay, job stability, and appreciation for the work that they do. And they teach Howard students every single day, according to the interviews that we're going to listen to, some by Chuck Modiano. The instructors have sent a proposal to Howard administration that was also signed by tenured track professors in conjunction with the non-tenured track professors. So you have solidarity with the professors who are tenured and who are not. I want to take a listen to this clip provided by Chuck Modiano of one of the protesters who's bringing attention to what's happening at Howard University. Let's take a listen in.
The university's leadership has made clear that a better working environment and a better learning environment is unimportant to them. We were scheduled to meet with the leadership again on March 18th, that's this Friday, but they have gone silent. We have been left with little choice. If the leadership of this university does not reach an agreement with us on March 18th, this Friday, then on Wednesday, March 23rd, on Thursday, March 24th, and on Friday, March 25th, the Adjuncts Union and the Lecturers Union, in alliance with SEIU Local 500, we will be holding an unfair labor practice strike. We are calling on our tenured and tenured track colleagues to stand with us and honor our picket lines during the strike. We're calling on our students, alums, and all of the HU community to support us in our effort to overcome the unfair labor practices of university leadership and to better the university as a whole. We ask you to stand with us in solidarity. We seek to stand with you in solidarity. Like I said earlier, these have been individual fights for far too long, and we have not seen the movement any of us need. So now we all need to come together and get the movement that we require. Thank you.
Now, a few of the supporters at the demonstration said that Howard University was not negotiating in good faith and that the educators, or rather negotiating in good faith with the educators, and that a huge aspect of the institutional dysfunction was falling on these professors and they were being asked to pick the pieces up. And then again, also shout out to Chuck Modiano for that clip. You can follow him on Twitter at Chuck Modi, MODI1, to get more information on this. We'll have him on the show next week. But I also want to give a shout out to the SEIU local, I believe he said local 100, who is helping organize this strike. We at the show, we stand in solidarity with labor, no matter where we find it. Workers, wherever you are around the world, need to stand in solidarity because, as our last guest was saying, we're fighting for 15 an hour. Truth of the matter is you could barely get by on 15 an hour in most cities across this country, metropolitan cities most certainly. 19 an hour sounds reasonable if it was caught up with the efficiency of the American worker. If minimum wage matched the efficiency of American workers, minimum wage would be $24 an hour or $27 an hour. It's certainly more than 19, certainly more than 15, certainly more than the $7 that you get now that's minimum wage. So we stand in solidarity with all teachers, with all workers, including teachers. I want to play this clip from Georgia Fort's coverage of the Minneapolis teacher strike. This is something we've been covering for some time here on the show because Georgia Fort has provided the footage. This is the teacher strike 1 week later. Let's take a look at it.
I used to be an ESP myself. Now I'm a special ed teacher. So I knew how hard it was. We all want to be back with our kids. But in order to move forward, we have to be out here. We got to continue to be strong no matter what the weather is.
Don't have childcare, but I still wanted to come out and support everyone. So
union strong, union proud, everybody say it loud.
I'd rather be in school right now, but I'm striking for my kiddos.
Kids of color and white kids need to regularly be taught by educators of color if we want to realize an anti-racist Minneapolis.
That's incredibly powerful to see different faces, people of different ethnicities, different backgrounds, different genders, all coming together for a common cause. And really that common cause is the children of Minneapolis. I'm a dean of behavior support staff. We don't make much. You can literally go to Target and make more than what I made. So it's not about, for me, it's not about the wages. It's about being equitable and being fair and being able to increase the quality of education for our children.
Again, now that's a clip provided to us by Georgia Fort. She's not with us today, but we definitely want to thank her for that continued coverage and her team that is there in Minneapolis in the freezing temperatures. You can see the pictures. Not only is Georgia Fort and her team on the front lines of all these issues, but those teachers are organizing in the freezing, frigid temperatures because they need fairer working conditions. And they are in negotiations now. Here's the thing, folks, if you've ever been a teacher, God bless you. That's all I can say about it. I've been a teacher. I taught for many years in several different states, or rather several different cities. And I can tell you that the pay is not commensurate with the requirements. It's just simple. I mean, just the red tape alone, having all of the certifications that all the trainings, all the extra meetings, the after school trainings that you have to attend, you got to go off campus to go to this meeting and get this instruction. You got to get this mentor. The requirements to be a teacher in the United States of America are so high, but your salary isn't. That's before the pandemic. Now we're in a pandemic and we're seeing how recklessly the schools across this country are treating students and teachers as it pertains to COVID-19. I mean, we really have put our education system in the most precarious position possible. We're asking teachers to pull off miracles when we don't even give them enough money for books. Several schools that I taught at, I had to go and print out copies of pages of the one book that I had and run copies for the students as handouts on multiple occasions. And if that wasn't enough, how many teachers in the audience can tell you that they have spent their own personal money that you know you're not going to get refunded by the school district? You just spend your money on things to enhance your children's education because you want to be a good teacher. I said all that to say solidarity with every teacher around this country. Matter of fact, solidarity with every worker. If you wake up and you clock in, I don't care where you clock in at. I don't care how much money you think you make. If you have to use your physical body to make your living, you need to be standing with the rest of us, standing with labor. Workers of the world, definitely unite. Let's go to a break. We're a little bit early today. I'm cooking with hot grease. We're going to have a jam-packed show coming up at 8:30. We're going to be speaking with the team from ACT TV. They're outside of Fox News headquarters in Washington, D.C., and there is a massive movement taking place to hold Fox News accountable, not just for their standard fare propaganda that we get all day long, and I believe we have a shot, but also because of what they're doing right now. Fox News is undermining the United States of America, and they're undermining Ukraine in this fight against Russia. So we're going to be speaking with the team from ACT TV momentarily. We're also going to be joined by Pascal Robert of the Black Agenda Report and This Is Revolution podcast. We'll be discussing Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, He's lost his mind. We'll talk about that, along with so many other guests. DJ Exclusive is somewhere in the building. He's going to get here. I'm a little early if he's here. Drop the beat. We'll be back with more of the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show after this.
Take a trip on it. When a girl who can go slow, wind it up all night. Baby, take your time. Let me know I want. When you turn me around, I want. When the neighbors yell turn down, we keep it going. Like pom pom pom. Throw it back then rotation. Figure it's in the season. Shine bright as that season. Girl, you know you are a gem.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, people. Y'all know who it is. Good morning to everyone. Y'all know the voice, y'all know the sound. James Williams is in the building. DJ Exclusive is here. Good morning, everybody. Make sure that y'all stay tuned, man. Jam-packed show today that you do not want to miss. So make sure that you stay tuned. Good morning again, everybody. All right, here we go. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Roller Dragon, Birdie, good morning. On it goes. Laura Strada, Mary C. Chris Shaw, good morning. Brother Bryce, good morning to you. Alicia, good morning. Brother Tiger, what's going on? Truth and Dragon. Queen Abby, good morning. Jason Marks, what's going on? Brother Tyler, good morning. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned, man. Laney Lou, good morning. Amber, good morning to you. Frankie Graham Jr., good morning. Talk to everybody that's joining us this morning. Make sure that you stay tuned. We got more coming up next on the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show, y'all. Barbara Ebron, good morning. Priscilla, good morning to you. Big Peace, Derek Fuller, good morning. Creative Impact Productions, good morning, man. Dreambot, absolutely. Roller Dragon, that is not a Dwayne thing, Roller Dragon. Right. They think that you're responsible for the Patreon link, Dwayne. I'm like, that's not a Dwayne thing. Right, Ben. All right, got you. T-Tweety, good morning to you. All right, y'all know what time it is. It's time for On the Clock.
We're back. DJ Exclusive, hey, man, thank you so much for what you're doing. It's always a pleasure. How you doing this morning, brother?
I'm pretty good. So how about yourself?
I'm doing good. I just wanted to come back and say good morning because I know you got to go get your coffee and get your day started. So go do what you do. When you come back, the shenanigans will commence. All right?
Right.
I'll see you when you get back. Welcome back to the morning show, everybody. We have a lot of miles to go, a lot of stories to cover. I want to bring in Jocelyn McCurdy-Keats. She is one of the political directors for ACT TV, our partners at ACT TV, and she is standing outside of the Washington, D.C. headquarters of Fox News. Jocelyn, before I go into it, tell us why you're outside of Fox News this morning.
Good morning, Ben. It's so good to be here with you. So we're standing outside this $10.4 billion propaganda company to call upon Fox News to stop its pro-Russia propaganda and also to call upon advertisers to stop investing in this hate machine.
So you're going straight to the belly of the beast. The only other place, I know mostly the New York City Fox News, but obviously they would have a Washington, D.C. headquarters. Tell us about the campaign. How are we going to put the pressure on Fox News, and what do we do to help?
So Robert Reich at Inequality Media and the Daily Kos and a number of other progressive organizations are calling upon advertisers to pull their money out of this insanely dangerous company, which has led to COVID disinformation, pro-Putin disinformation, election safety disinformation. And, people talk about how divided and polarized this nation is currently. That's not a mystery about how that happened. That happened because the company behind me has been spewing lies in the public sphere for a really long time now, and people like us tend to, some of the things they say are comical. They're just so unbelievable, and yet we forget that 50% of Americans use Fox as a trusted news source, and that should terrify us.
Absolutely. What drives me crazy is before the pandemic, anytime I would go out to a bar, a pub, anywhere, Fox News was on every television. Not only that, but I wonder if many people realize if they have cable, they are subsidizing Fox News, right? Whether they want to or not, if you have certain cable providers, some of your money each month is going to support this propaganda. Talk to us about that.
Well, that's a thing, right? I mean, we live in a capitalist society. If you want to hit a company like Fox where it hurts, this Tucker Carlson is not going to change. Sean Hannity is not going to change. But what can change them is whether or not they're receiving their multi-million-dollar paychecks. And the people we need to be calling upon to do that are the companies that advertise on Fox, which is, the list is endless. I really encourage people to go to ACT TV's website. Our petitions are listed there, or the Daily Kos, or Inequality Media, or any of the organizations that are fighting for a free and true society.
Absolutely. I'm thinking about what came out this week. If we go into some of the details, because, I generally believe that anyone who has not lived under a rock or been in a coma for the last 25 years already understands the real threat that Fox News poses to the United States of America. But just in case, this week on Russian television, Tucker Carlson from Fox News was featured because he is delivering some of the best Russian propaganda that the world has. And I want to be clear, not Russian propaganda, Vladimir Putin propaganda. Putin propaganda that the world has to offer is coming right from Fox News, such that it can be featured on state propaganda television in Russia. Just tell us about that, along with how deeply vested Fox News is against the average person.
It's really surreal to watch. Let's not forget that Vladimir Putin is somebody who poisons his own journalists. This is by no means somebody who's really interested in not even a true discourse, but discourse at all. So the fact that Tucker Carlson is being featured not just on Russian center, but Chinese channels are also uplifting his anti-American propaganda. We should be very, very concerned that the most profitable news company in this country is working for foreign countries, even if they were benign, right? Like, even if Russia weren't invading Ukraine, that should be something we should be very curious and nervous about.
Absolutely. A couple more questions. So I see I have in my notes here the petition against Fox News. They can find it and sign it at actionnetwork.org. Go to actionnetwork.org and sign the petition to American companies to stop advertising on Fox News. I want to go to the next issue that I know you guys are covering. This one is about the legalization of marijuana, and you have the MORE campaign that ACT TV has been connected to and pushing forward. Just to give everyone a quick overview, the MORE Act would end the federal prohibition and criminalization of marijuana, thus providing individual states with the authority to be the primary arbiters of cannabis policy. In other words, the MORE Act is a good step in the full legalization and the decriminalization of marijuana. Tell us about ACT TV's participation in that movement.
Well, again, ACT TV and a number of other organizations are calling upon Congress to do the right thing and end the criminalization of something that almost everybody has used at one point. It's almost laughable, but yet in egregious numbers, the people that are incarcerated are young black men. We need to stop pretending that has anything to do with marijuana. It's an excuse to lock up young black people. That's all it is. And we need to stop falling into their hands and allowing them to think that anybody is actually concerned about a harmless substance.
Absolutely. Not everybody has used. I'm just thinking about some folks in my family who would disagree, but it does not change the fact that though everyone is not going to be, I know, right? No, I'm sure my mother is watching is like, I've never used it, but I digress. The fact that this has been used historically, marijuana, the criminalization of marijuana, the war on drugs has disproportionately hit the African-American community more than anyone else. I want to just read a couple of more notes from the MORE Act. The MORE Act would facilitate the expungement of low-level federal marijuana convictions and incentivizes state and local governments to make and take similar actions. It creates pathways for ownership opportunities in the emerging regulated industry, as well as other sectors of the economy for local and diversely reflective entrepreneurs who have been impacted under prohibition through the Small Business Administration grant. In other words, people who have been arrested, targeted, tried, convicted, people who have been victims of the war against marijuana through the MORE Act will be given the opportunity to move forward as an entrepreneur in that business. I think that is brilliant. Jocelyn, I thank you for being out there. I know it's cold and I know it's pretty early. Just in general, what are you seeing as the Washington, D.C. correspondent for ACT TV? Do you feel that we're actually making progress on some of these issues? Like we have the petition against Fox News. We have the MORE Act. We have all of the policies that we're fighting for. But being in the heart of the beast, the belly of the beast, what's your gut telling us? Are we making progress? Okay, we lost her audio. All right, so what we can do is we'll take a quick pause and give us a chance to reconnect with Jocelyn's audio, because I do want to expand the conversation a little bit further. And so, Dwayne, let me know when you get her and we can circle back because go ahead. Okay. All right. That said, let's put a pin there and come back. There's a lot more stories that we need to get to, and we'll circle back to Jocelyn as soon as we work out the technical difficulties. We're on the clock, and Georgia Ford is not with us. Good morning to Georgia. I want to play a clip, and it is a clip that her team put together remembering Laneal Frazier. We've been discussing this pretty extensively. Well, we have no choice, right? We have to discuss the number of Black people who are killed in this country too often indiscriminately. And as you start thinking about the names, it's one name after the other and after the other, so much so that we start to forget some of the names. I appreciate this project that Georgia Ford's team is doing over there at Black Press, and they are bringing back to our remembrance some of the names that we have already passed by because more Black people have been killed. I just want to put that in context. It's been 8 months since Laneal Frazier, who's an uncle to Darnell Frazier, was killed in a crash from the police pursuit of a carjacking and robbery suspect. He was killed by Officer Brian Cummings, who was driving nearly 80 miles per hour. Family and community called for justice for Laneal and what would have been his 41st birthday last week. And they did so at the 4th Precinct. And they are demanding accountability for Officer Cummings. Now, I want to emphasize Darnella Frazier. We mentioned her name in this because This is how close death is in Minneapolis. Laneal Frazier is the young woman, the 17-year-old, who recorded the death of the murder of George Floyd. And so the young woman who recorded the death, the murder of George Floyd, later lost her uncle, Laneal Frazier. And we have a clip about this. Let's take a look in.
The man that was killed, Laneal Frazier, was the uncle of Danielle Frazier, who recorded the murder of George Floyd. There's so many things that go on here in the state of Minnesota, so much corruption. There's no way that this man should be sitting there minding his own business, and then a cop recklessly drives through the neighborhood and crash into this man and kill him.
That's my oldest son. He was a good father, a good parent. He was a loving child.
We came up here as a family of 7. Our father passed away in 2005. Then our brother got killed by the police, so it's just us 5 left. We really don't have any blood relatives up here, out here to support us. So it's like we appreciate everyone that's out supporting us right now. We went from seeing him literally every single day to not just seeing him at all. And Brian Clemens, it's his fault. I think he needs to be in jail right now. He's been out enjoying his life with his family, his kids, his grandkids, or whoever else in his family. And my brother, he's gone.
The police here, they do not care about the people that live here. The city here doesn't fund communities like this. They turn their eyes to it, and whatever happens is whatever happens. A cop can be going 80 miles an hour, running red lights, pursuing whoever it was. I still don't think they got him. So obviously it wasn't that big of a deal. And they can go over 80 miles an hour running red lights, kill somebody, and nobody bats an eye.
It's not right. How is it that a lot of cops could kill all these black people every year? But how many of them officers really get time? You see what I'm saying? But yet we can sit out here and go through our trials and tribulations and do things, and we get punished, sometimes over sentence, for minor things. You know, like this man just said, their communities is good. They don't worry about that shit in their communities because they take care of their own. Our communities is fucked up because they don't live here. You feel what I'm saying? We got to take care of our own.
Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Blow your horns, everybody. Justice for Laneal. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Say his name. 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 Say his name.
Again, thank you to Georgia Fort's team over at Black Press. If you want more of this information and commemoration, the remembrance, because there's just too many names. There's too many names and not enough justice. Go to georgiafort.com to find out more information on all. I mean, and just in Minneapolis alone, folks, I believe we have Jocelyn. We'll go back to her momentarily, but I just want to say, it is madness that the young lady who recorded the video of George Floyd being killed by Derek Chauvin later on lost her uncle. And before that trial was over, you ended up having another young man killed by a police officer. And before that trial was over, another young man was killed by a police officer. And you know, it is a cycle that seems not to end. I want to bring Jocelyn back into the conversation. She's the Washington correspondent for ACT TV. Jocelyn, right before we got disconnected, I was asking you if on the ground there in Washington, D.C., you felt like there was actual progress. And the reason I'm asking from that perspective is because at the end of the day, all of our hopes and dreams as Americans and as human beings, when we want to put it in legislation, we send it to Washington, D.C. And too often we find it dying in Washington, D.C. The George Floyd Justice Act. It's like it's not even talked about anymore. Voting rights, not even talked about anymore. With everything that ACT TV, and we're fighting in conjunction with ACT TV, solidarity and partnership, do you think we're making progress?
You know, I do. And it's hard to say that, especially when you're talking about innocent lives being lost and the cycle of violence that you're absolutely right, Ben, doesn't feel like it ends. It feels like it just rises up to live in a new form, even when you conquer it in this other one. But I do think it's important that we are changing the narrative. Again, to quote Congresswoman Jayapal, we have seized the narrative as progressives for the first time in decades. The neoliberal perspective of capitalism lifts all boats is dying, and it's dying because of people like you, Ben, that are saying, no, this doesn't work for everyone. This works for a small number of elite people who then turn around and write the rules that benefit them.
They write the rules that benefit them. And then I know I'm jumping interviews. We had a gentleman from Rhode Island who was discussing how the Democratic Party there has, or in not just the Democratic Party, obviously some Republicans, but he's facing Democratic Party leaders there in Rhode Island writing those rules to their own benefit. I mean, it's cliche, but it's true. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. We're not going to throw in the towel, but we're going to keep fighting. Jocelyn, how can people in my audience help with the two actions that we're talking about, the MORE Act as well as the petition to stop Fox News?
Well, so again, the ACT TV's Action Network is on our website. You can find us on actionnetwork.org and a number of other organizations that are hosting these sorts of petitions. And it's important to really, it can feel cynical. What does adding your name do? It does a lot, especially when names are coming together in thousands and millions of numbers. But don't just do that, right? Educate yourself, educate your friends and family, contribute to independent media like ACT TV and Ben, and really realize that culture and politics are tied together. Sometimes we might lose on the legislative front, but if we're winning in the cultural battle, if we're winning in the people power, eventually things have to go our way. That's just how political trends and cultural trends work.
That's right. That's right. Jocelyn McCurdy-Keats, ACT TV Washington correspondent. The petition that we want everyone to take action on can be found at actionnetwork.org. Sign the petition to U.S. companies stop advertising on Fox News. Let's sign that petition and get more information on the MORE Act. You can find all that at act.tv. Jocelyn, it's cold out there. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We'd love to have you back anytime you're available.
Thank you, Ben.
The pleasure is ours. DJ Exclusive. I feel like I ran a marathon already, and we're just getting started, man.
Man, yeah, you've been going a mile a minute, Benjamin.
This is what happens. Is when you put the show together. And I looked at it last night with the producers. I said, "Woo!" But
and clearly, I pulled a Dr. Mac and missed the meeting last night. My bad. Once I looked at what time it was, man, time just escaped me yesterday. I looked up, it's 10 p.m. I'm like, my God, I done missed the production meeting. I done missed TV shows. I done missed everything last night. What's going on?
Hey, wait, why you had to put? Why you had to bring Dr. Mac?
I said you ain't the only one.
See?
James, but I mean, why you had to bring Brother Mac in here? And the fact that Brother Mac don't come to my production meetings, man. Why you just had to just?
Because you know you get on me and Rebecca for missing production meetings, but you don't say nothing to Dr. Mac. Golly, let me stop playing.
Now, because I don't want people to think I'm scared of that 6'9" man, because I'm not. Man, I tell him about that meeting. I tell him about the meeting all the time. But go ahead,
but
James,
every time Ben get ready to say something to him about missing the meetings, he think about that picture and them abs, and he like, no, I ain't messing with it.
He started like, yeah, no, I ain't gonna say nothing. No.
You know, I'm the short guy that doesn't know better, doesn't know. James, you'll appreciate this story. We're going to go to break. You'll appreciate this story. This has nothing to do with any of the serious news that we just got through covering. I just want to be sure this should not be attributed to Georgia Ford. Matter of fact, make sure her name's not on the screen. No, I'm the kind. I ran up. Remember in the marching band. I got to be very careful with this because I don't want to put us in a bad light. Let's just say when I ran to the back of the bus one time, I ran up on the biggest person in the band in the trumpet section at the time. You know him. I'm not going to call my brother's name out. Love that brother to death. But he laughed. He looked down at me and was like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think I'm serious, bro."
And
so
wait,
that's me, man. I'm the guy.
Weren't we on the bus with y'all at one point? I think we were on the bus with y'all.
You were
at the beginning of the
on
year.
the bus. You were on the bus that day because I couldn't take I couldn't take the tall person. I tried it because I like to think I'm bad. I ran into his chest and he laughed. Okay. So I turned around and I whipped up on the smaller person in the trumpet section who was trying me. So, I got some. Anyway, I digress. That has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that we're going to do this show the way I want to, and I want to laugh. James, play some music, play some trap music. You play gospel. I don't care what you play. Play what you want to play. And when we come back, we're going to turn up a little bit more. We got a couple more guests, but we're going to laugh our way through all these crazy stories, man. It's in your hands, DJ Exclusive.
Absolutely, Benjamin. I got you. And this was before Ben knew how to use his big ass head, y'all. So that's why he ain't knocked the big guy down like he needed to. But shout out to everybody, man. Make sure that you stay tuned. We got more coming up next on the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show, man. Like it or not, we'll be starting up momentarily. Rebecca should be joining us today, but who knows? Corporate America has been keeping us down way too long.
Keep going on strong like a soldier. I was drunk with love, now I'm sober. So I can't have saying that I told you, I'm sober, I'm sober, I'm sober, I'm sober, I'm sober, I'm
Good morning to you. Never thought orthopedic shoes would really work for me, but I stand corrected. Oh, and not to mention that I accidentally gave my husband a glue stick instead of lipstick. He still isn't talking to me. I'm just on the road this morning. As long as y'all keep me on this screen, I'm gonna keep on dropping these corny behind jokes. They are so corny.
Ooh, Shawty, swing my way. Left that X-Men, she was singing my way. No more fast ones, gotta leave the highway. No more fast ones, gotta
Environmental Coffee House, good morning to you.
Swing my way. Left that X-Men, she was singing my way. No more fast
Sydney Butler, no.
No more fast ones, gotta leave.
Good morning, Sydney. Good morning, Teresa.
No more fast ones, gotta leave.
Mary C, good morning.
No more fast ones, gotta leave.
OMW, on my way to you. Good at what I do. I'm OMW. Watch me walk away, putting myself on display. 1, 2, 3 a day. I'm on my way, on my way. I'ma have you on 10 toes, watching my diamond afterglow. I know you want.
Okay, I think it's the last one. On my way, on my way. Two robbers were robbing a liquor store. When one robber grabs a bottle and asks the other robber, "Is this whiskey?" The other says, yeah, but now this whiskey is robbing a bank.
I'm OMW. On my way.
It's like, what are you, 3?
They wanna judge me, I'll testify. Catch me on Insta, I'm verified. They want me quiet, I amplify. I'm on my way to the best thing that you've ever seen. You know that you bow to the queen. You lose all your senses and reason. I'll give you
William Moore, good morning. Bryce, good morning.
OMW. On my way to you. Good at what I do. I'm OMW. OMW. On my way to you.
All right, before we get back to Benjamin Dixon, here's a little known fact that I think a lot of people didn't know. I didn't know this either. Before the crowbar was invented, pros simply drank at home.
OMW.
Welcome back, Benjamin Dixon, y'all.
Nothing left to prove. So enjoy the view, taking up Malibu. I'ma have you on tiptoe.
James, you can't bring me back. All right.
I know what I've been doing.
I see how it is. I see it. I've been trying to be prepared to come back and be okay. Nope. I get it. No, thank you for doing your job properly.
Crowbar.
For those of you who don't know, James is not only here for his own, he's here for his own mission. He's got his own calling, and he's here for the work, but he's also here to make sure I don't take myself too seriously. So I just want to appreciate him for messing me up like that, per usual. James, have you been watching this mayor out of New York, Eric Adams?
What has this crazy man done now? I've been out of the loop on the news. I just had to take a mental break from it because it's driving me crazy.
It's been a lot.
Man, it's been a lot.
I was at a dispensary yesterday talking to a guy, and he was telling me the same thing that you just said. I didn't have to give y'all that information. I just wanted to. And he said the same thing. He said after Joe Biden was elected, he just cut off the television, and because he said it was just too much. He said he didn't even want to watch it that long, talking about politics and all the stories and all the news. And he said he's been unplugged for 2 years, and he didn't even realize what all was going on in the world. So I feel you, man. If I can unplug, yeah. No, I'm just
right, man.
I just had a thought. I just had a good thought of what it would be like to not have to worry about the news.
I mean, I thought we discussed, you know what? We ain't going to talk about that on there. But
we're trying to do it, man. We're trying to do it. It's hard. It's hard.
It's keep calling me. It's calling me.
Right when I get out, they're trying to pull me back in.
And he's trying to pull me back in.
I'm trying to get away from politics. They won't let me. Especially not when you got clowns like... The show died a long time ago, man. This is just the afterlife. Anyway, Eric Adams, New York. I was about to say New York, D.C. New York City Mayor Eric Adams. We're going to be discussing him with Pascal Robert of the Black Agenda Report and This Is Revolution podcast as soon as he's available. But what has he done? Dwayne, let me know when you get that clip. He's basically... I don't know who this guy thinks he is. Let me just start there. He is trying to present himself as a black man, a Democrat, which I don't care about the Democrat part, whatever, but he ran as a Democrat. But now he is so ultra police, so pro police, which I would argue he's always been pro police. So I don't know why New York would have elected this man, but he's the mayor. He's so pro police. He was talking about bringing stop and frisk back. I think he said he was joking about that, but I want you to listen to this clip as we get ready for our next guest. And he's discussing how he wants to train New Yorkers to respect the police and keep their distance when filming police officers. And he said, if your iPhone is bad, get you a new iPhone because you don't have to get that close to his police officers when they're beating up citizens and you're trying to film it. That's the latest from Eric Adams. He just said it yesterday. Let's hear it from his own mouth.
With policing and other crimes with others, if people didn't document it, what's your message to the community when they want to document what's going on with trying to stay safe, getting guns off the streets?
Without a doubt, and that is one thing that we're going to do. We're going to teach the public how to properly document. If an officer is on the ground wrestling with someone that has a gun, they should not have to worry about someone standing over them with a camera while they're wrestling with someone. If an officer is trying to prevent a dispute from taking place and de-escalate that dispute, they should have someone standing over their shoulders with a camera in their face, yelling and screaming out there at them without even realizing what the encounter is all about. There's a proper way to police, and there's a proper way to document. If your iPhone can't catch that picture with you being at a safe distance, then you need to upgrade your iPhone. Stop being on top of my police officers while they're carrying out their jobs. That is not acceptable, and it won't be tolerated. That is a very dangerous environment you are creating when you're on top of that officer who has an understanding of what he's doing at the time, yelling police brutality, yelling at the officer, calling them names. Now he has to worry about who's behind him. Is he part of the process that he's trying to de-escalate? That has gotten out of control. You can safely document an incident, but we can use that footage to analyze what happened. But that's not what's happening right now in our city. We're finding people who are standing on top of the officer while he's involved in a dangerous encounter. Not acceptable. It's not going to continue to happen.
He said, yeah, man. He said a lot there. Joining us now to discuss is Pascal Robert. He is of the Black Agenda Report, and this is Revolution Podcast. First and foremost, good morning to you, brother. How are you?
Good morning to you, Brother Ben. Good to be on your show. Good morning to you as well, to your co-host. Glad to have me here.
Good morning. Good morning.
Brother, we've been talking, and you describe Eric Adams as the neoliberal corporate Democrat trial balloon who is sent to crush and smash the progressive wing of the party, the Sanders wing of the party. Now, when I read that, I said yes and amen and come on the show and talk about it. Tell us why Eric Adams is this new wave of attack against actual progress, not just for people in general, but for Black people specifically.
Well, to do this, I think we have to put things in a certain context of the evolution of Black politics and the Black political class, particularly in the last 20 years. All right. We basically went from a paradigm of the Black political class, and the Black political class, for your audience who don't know, are the elected officials and also the social superstructure that exists in the Black community around civil rights organizations, the Black church, membership organizations, fraternities, sororities, and so on and so forth, that buttress the political establishment as well as the ideological and political choices that exist in the Black community in terms of what kind of options we have. And they basically act as what you would call a buffer class that buttresses support traditionally for the Democratic Party and promotes policies usually to their benefit in exchange for patronage that I pejoratively call fatback and biscuits to their betterment and usually to the detriment of poor and working class Black people. But there has been an evolution in the nature of the Black political class in the 50 plus years post-civil rights, in that the first generation of the Black political class that came out of the Gary, Indiana Convention in the 1970s were traditionally former civil rights affiliated type politicos who, because of working through government programs through the Great Society, developed an affinity and a connection to political administrations in the Democratic Party, and then rose to the level of becoming the first iteration of the Black political class. But because they had to maintain certain credentials with the grassroots civil rights community in the kind of post-Black Power era, they still had to at least have the patina or illusion of a redistributive agenda to Black folk. Right, that's how you get your Maynard Jackson, your Andrew Youngs, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm trying to be quick here because I know what time is of the essence. So I'm trying to go through this lesson. We move into the 80s and 90s in the way in which neoliberalism, which is basically a fancy way for shifting capitalism to hyper-privatization, deregulation of finance capital, and the removing of government-funded policy to the benefit of the population to a more pro-capitalist, pro-private sector agenda to marketize everything. In that era, what we have to understand is that Black politics reflects that change in the nature of capitalism in America. And what we find is our Black political officials, particularly what we call the urban regimes, because, some of your audience may not be old enough, but I'm old enough to remember where in a time where every major city in America had a black mayor. New York City had Dinkins, you had Howard Washington, you had L.A., had, I forgot the name of I always forget the name of the brother who was mayor of L.A. back in the day. Atlanta, so on and so forth. So there was a proliferation of black mayors in these cities, but because these cities were basically transforming into a period of neoliberalism where they did not have the same kind of government largesse as they did in the 50s, these guys unfortunately had to oversee much austerity type politics that disadvantaged working class and poor black people, and also govern over regimes of mass incarceration, because black people in a period of economic precarity due to neoliberalism, the poor are going to be sacrificed to mass incarceration, black and white, but disproportionately black. So that is the first shift of the black political class away from what we saw in the 70s, where they could at least pretend to have a redistributive agenda, right? And then in the 90s, with the rise of democratic neoliberalism, the black political class pretty much embraces neoliberalism because they're reacting to the fear of the Newt Gingrich Republicans.
That's right.
Bill Clinton is the first Democrat who wins after 3 presidential elections where you have Republicans having won. Reagan 80, Reagan 84, Bush the first 88. And those regimes were so right-wing, and you know this story as well as I do, Ben. The Democratic Party embraces the Democratic Leadership Conference, pivots to the right, supports corporate agenda, tough on crime, tough on black people politics, and takes us into the 25, 30-year spectrum of Democrat-led neoliberal politics that's even worse for black people, quite frankly, right? Okay, so the black political class shifts in that way as well. What we see in the millennium is the rise of the first generation of truly neoliberal black politicians. One of the things my mentor, Bruce Dixon and Glenn Ford, used to talk about is that there was a trial balloon of about 5 candidates to become the first black president, and they all have very similar politics and aesthetics. Cory Booker, Barack Obama, Arthur Davis, Adrian Fenty, and Harold Ford Jr. All elite Ivy League educated or proximate, all very pro-corporate charter schools, all very highly financed by corporate America, all very pro-growth, pro-capitalist, pro-big business type politics, and all using respectability politics, pull up your pants type rhetoric. Very common. Michael Nutter was a Philadelphia manifestation of that politics. So that's like the third iteration of the black political class. And we see what that got us, which is the rise of Obama, which some of my mentors and teachers like Bruce Dixon used to say was the death knell of black politics. So what happens is that we shift from the neoliberal, really pro-capitalist, pro-corporate black politician, which is still in the kind of aura capturing the imagination of black folk. You have a pivot to the rise of Bernie Sanders and the quote unquote Sanders Democratic Socialists, AOC, so on and so forth. Now, though these people don't really capture the imagination of black voters, they present an ideological challenge to all of the earlier manifestations of the black political class, because black people are now realizing these Negroes have not done anything for us. And now you have people like AOC and otherwise are talking about, hey, what about, a more expansive state government program to give you a federal jobs guarantee, a free college, free state college, healthcare, so on and so forth. So even though black people may not be entering into supporting that politics, the challenge of these people seeming more progressive than the black political class creates a conflict. This is a very important point that you must convey to your audience. The black political class, particularly in the Congressional Black Caucus, much of their political legitimacy is premised on leveraging the bona fides of the civil rights movement and the illusion of being racially progressive to give them a voice to actually replicate very damaging pro-corporate black. Corporate politics.
You mean people like Jim Clyburn? Anyway,
exactly.
Go ahead. We were talking about Eric Adams, though. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes. So I'm going to get to the point. What does Eric Adams represent? Eric Adams, I would argue, represents the 4th iteration of the black political class, in that he is reacting to the failures of the neoliberal Obama type Black political class, the Cory Bookers, the Obamas, Fenty's, Harold Ford Jr.'s, etc. And he's also reacting to the rise of the AOC Sanders faction. And he's basically trying to tap dance between the two while still maintaining a fealty or an allegiance to the same corporate pro-Wall Street, pro-real estate development fact. Don't forget, Eric Adams was one of the most extensively backed real estate development backed candidates in that mayoral election that he won last year. And he's already made statements to Wall Street saying that we need you guys in New York. And there's an article by, I think his name is Chuck Gasparino. He's like one of these Wall Street guys. He's always on Fox News. It's in the New York Post. I was just reading it this morning preparing for the show, where literally, this is like a New York City white ethnic Wall Street guy who is praising former cop Black Mayor Eric Adams for his willingness to dump all that progressive, left socialist rhetoric crap and support big business and finance capital. And, Gasparino is really one of these blowhard right-wing capitalist types who's like, yeah, I'm glad to see Adams is not down with the comrades. And there's a quote that he has of Eric Adams, where Adams literally says, we need more of you Wall Street guys and less of these AOC types.
Wow. Pascal, I want to ask you really briefly with the time we have, man, where does it go? Because not only is he everything that you listed there, right? And I mean, you gave us a lot, but I followed that thread. I followed what you were saying. Eric Adams is the evolution of, and we can say devolution of the Black political class, but he is himself a reaction to the last political class, the Black movement that came before.
A reaction to two factors. The neoliberal corporate, the neoliberal Black political class, the Obama, Fenty types, and the rise of the AOC progressive Sanders faction. And he's trying to thread the needle between the two.
And he's doing a balancing act also with, it seems to work, right? I guess what I'm trying to throw at you is this twisted combination seems to have been enough, one, for him to get elected. Two, he's using this honeymoon period where he can leverage as much damage as he can, right? He's going as full police, pro-police as he's a former police officer himself, so that makes sense. But he is merging the worst of all of the categories. He's merging the police state with the exploitative nature of capitalism. He's merging it with the facade of blackness, the form of blackness, denying the power thereof. He's like the trifecta of black leadership. Go ahead.
Let me tell you how absolutely spot on you are. And I applaud your astute assessment, which doesn't surprise me because you have very many astute assessments, Ben. Is that,
man, bless you, brother. I appreciate that.
When Eric Adams was running, he was literally being touted by the Black chattering class. And you know me long enough to know when I say Black chattering class, I mean Black media, Black journalists, so on and so forth. The New York City Black chattering class, people like Errol Lewis and others who are very good journalists. Errol Lewis is a very good New York City journalist, long time. I have respect for him. I think his politics are more conservative than mine, but he's a good, solid Black journalist. These people were touting Eric Adams as the new Black power in New York City. In other words, he is the new manifestation of Black power in New York. There are articles to that effect, that he is the new. So what you're finding, right, is that there's a generation of Black people who are about my age or a little older, who did not come out of the movement era, who are now, we're kind of like the adults in the room of the Black communities we have throughout the country, right? And most of us are too young to have come out of the movement era or to have been adults. Even Eric Adams is too young to come out of it. So our only contextual memory of Black politics is pretty much the Black political class post-civil rights. So as a result, many of us have a fetish obsession with people like Maynard Jackson, people like other Black political class officials who did expand the Black middle class in their constituencies, but there's little discussion about how their policies affected working class and poor Black people.
Pascal, we have so much to discuss. I know it's been a while since I had you on. I got to get you back soon. You come with a volume of knowledge and context and nuance that is necessary. But I'm going to have to hold the conversation here. Tell everyone how they can get up with you and support your work.
Absolutely. You guys can check us out at This Is Revolution Podcast at all your relevant podcast apps, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, so on and so forth. This Is Revolution Podcast at YouTube. You can check me out at PROBERT at PRobert06. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on social media. You can Google my name at Black Agenda Report. You'll see my work. I also write for Newsweek as well. You can check my name out, and you'll see my articles in Newsweek. I have articles in the Huffington Post. As Ben can tell you, I've been writing about Black politics for over a decade now. So, for those who are not familiar with my work, you can check it out.
You've been in this longer than I have, brother. I appreciate everything that you do. We'll talk with you soon.
All right, brother. Peace.
I want to bring into the conversation real quick, guys. I told you we had a jam-packed show, but there's just so many conversations that we have to not only catch up on, but move the ball forward on. Rebecca Zor is going to be joining us momentarily. DJ Exclusive, he's in the background. I want to move right to Allison Collins. She is an educator and former San Francisco Board of Education Commissioner. Allison, along with 3 other board members, all educators of color, were recalled after a campaign supported by San Francisco Democratic Mayor London Bree herself, a Black woman. 3 parents replaced them, backed by Bree. Ooh, we're jumping into the deep end. First of all, thank you for joining us this morning. How are you? All right, 1 second. I think okay, we've got you now. Dwayne, Okay, got you. 1 second. I'm sorry, I was missing my signals there. DJ Exclusive, I didn't have my screen up. You see, I was going straight into it.
And y'all, I was going to play right along because I was about to come in and like, hi, good morning, Benjamin. I'm doing pretty good. How about you this morning? I was going to play right into it, but I just seemed like, you know what? I'm going to stay here. I'm going to look all pretty on screen and not say nothing.
James said Ben is going to eventually take a breath and look at the screen and realize his guest is not ready.
Because I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, is Ben hearing Dwayne in the background? Because I'm not hearing anything. No. So maybe he's hearing the voice of God. And no, okay, cool.
No. So sometimes I try to move so efficiently, James. And then I sometimes try to move so efficiently and I run directly into a brick wall. I'm like, damn. I could have taken a couple of breaths in between that last interview. Matter of fact, I could have talked. I digress.
I was just like, maybe Ben knows something I don't. Okay, cool. All right, perfect.
No, Ben just had a lot of coffee this morning and saw the list and said, we're gonna interview every person on this list today, not only because it's a personal challenge of mine, but also because every one of their stories are very, very important. James, I love how we can go from just completely serious to completely ridiculous and back again. Like,
I told you, that's what I said, depth. You thought I said death. I'm like, no, anybody say death, man. I said depth of this show. I ain't say death.
We can hear you now, brother. What's happening? Dwayne,
you there?
That's what's going on. Okay.
That's going on. Okay. Good morning, Allison. How are you doing this morning, Allison?
Good morning, Allison. We had a technical difficulty with our technical director. We did not hear him, but we have you now. If you would allow me to introduce you again to our audience, because I believe your story is very significant. Educator and former San Francisco Board of Education Commissioner, faced a recall campaign by the mayor there in the city of San Francisco. And thank you so much for joining us this morning. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you all.
Absolutely. What brought my attention to your work was the fact that you are part of the victims of this push against critical race theory, against just the school boards in general. Like, it's not just critical race theory. There seems to be an onslaught across the country against school boards. Would you talk about that in general, but specifically how it impacted you?
Well, I guess I appreciate you bringing it up. And I think what has been interesting as somebody in San Francisco, we do have a sense, we always like to think of ourselves as really unique. We are a very progressive school district. We've, for a long time, pushed progressive policies. We've removed police from schools. We've had pro-LGBTQ curriculum. And so a lot of times we think of ourselves as separate from the country. And yet what we've been seeing is attacks against educators at the school board level, but all the way down to the classroom level. And I've been following this on Twitter. I'm very connected with educators who do anti-racist education across the country. And there's basically just a purging of our education system from the top to the bottom. And they're using critical race theory and information attacks, recalls, and also resignation campaigns to just purge the system and bring us back. And so in San Francisco specifically, we started seeing a lot of activity around reopening schools. And I've also seen it kind of a confluence. I don't think this would be happening if it weren't for COVID. I think it was very destabilizing. And what you saw in New York and San Francisco was a wave of parents who said, we want our kids back in school. And there were discrepancies in who wanted their kids back sooner. And the Republican Party and conservative and right-wing forces basically mobilized that parent frustration and parent anger, which was largely affluent, white, parents or professional women as well, who maybe were less impacted by COVID and needed schools to be open in order for them to work. As compared to, we have a lot of communities of color in San Francisco that live in multi-generational households. We're actually more impacted by COVID, less able to quarantine, when you're living a whole family in a one-bedroom house. And so school districts were balancing these needs, especially in urban areas like New York, San Francisco, and basically, I'd say more conservative forces were able to mobilize that parent frustration and anger in conjunction with other efforts to kind of push back on progressive anti-racist education and just, mobilize people to remove folks from office.
Can you help us understand why it is that so many conservative groups, movements, politicians, why is a school board level so important that they are throwing everything but the book at it?
That's a really good question. Yeah, and I don't think people understand. I'm an educator, 100%. I'm a parent organizer. I ran because I've been working in our district for a very long time as just a parent, and I wanted to be involved at that level. But for most people in San Francisco, the school board is seen as a stepping stone to higher office, and that's true across the country. And so if you want the pathway to power, it's through these local offices. And we're not just seeing school boards, but we're also seeing other local offices that are being targeted. But it's very, kids are a very emotional issue. And if you can mobilize parents, you can mobilize folks and in a very strong way politically. And that's where schools have consistently been a way for people to mobilize for political action, even when, the ultimate goal isn't necessarily to serve schools. And we've seen that, right? Public schools are generally underfunded, undersupported, and yet they consistently come up in political campaigns because they mobilize people to vote. And specifically around safety of children, it's a very mobilizing issue to talk about, child safety when it comes to COVID, also when it comes to some of these issues that conservative parents are concerned about when it comes to teaching about LGBTQ issues, teaching about sex education, or teaching about race.
You have a podcast, and it is entitled Just Talks. I'm one of your first episode. You were talking with Dr. Walter Greason. You connected these attacks to on the school board to January 6th. Help us see that connection there.
Well, I think it's, I do appreciate that because this isn't a new thing. We've seen this throughout history. And in last January, when this recall started, I started seeing things happening across the country. And so then you start to realize this isn't just San Francisco. And then when I talked to educators who, and especially historians, I became really appreciative of historians. They started talking about the fact that McCarthyism actually started with school boards. And I didn't realize that. But they basically branded people communists, and they went from town to town and said, these people can't teach our children, they're communists. And so this is a playbook, I spoke to Jesse Hagopian. He's with the Zinn Education Project, and they're tracking anti-CRT legislation and trying to support educators in the classroom who are being targeted. There's like social studies teachers, kids are filming them and then sending it to Fox News, and they're getting fired. So this is not just a school board issue, and these are all connected. And if it's just a playbook. But what's challenging, I think, is that we have social media, which allows people to really amplify misinformation in a way that is unprecedented. And also, like I said, we've had progress, but, places like maybe New York or San Francisco or quote blue states don't realize that, these same playbooks are just as effective.
No, I'm thinking, and as you add it up, from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast, to the South, to the North, we see this concerted effort by conservatives to control from the school board level. I want to briefly talk about the recall campaign that you faced, because all of this is interconnected, but more specifically, what's the next move, not only for you, but for other parents and educators who get involved only to be recalled by a movement that's trying to stop you from teaching our kids?
Yeah, I think that to me has been the biggest concern is thinking about, I was an organizer on the ground. And what I realized is once I became a member of the school board, you need folks to protect you and the work in order for you to keep doing it. And we are really dealing with a very organized infrastructure that's been built to basically take back our country to the 40s and 50s as far as,
right.
Some of the policies that we have. And in doing the research, I'm an educator and I do research. I met with a professor, Isaac Kamala, and he has basically documented this infrastructure has been in place for a while now, but it was targeted on higher ed. So the colleges were facing this through Koch-funded organizations called Campus Reform, was like a way that they would publish fake news. And then they had training organizations or student leadership for conservative college students to basically launch information campaigns against educators at the higher ed level, talking about critical race theory, and remove them from our colleges. And that he's basically saying that infrastructure is now being focused on the K through 12 level. And I'm seeing it with an organization like Charlie Kirk has an organization called Turning Point. San Francisco Unified is on that list, right? So they list school boards that are doing like critical race theory. There's organizations like Parents Defending Education. Azra Nomani is very politically active. She's a Trump supporter, right-wing media persona, and she's a parent who also started a group where parents can report their school district for teaching CRT. So there's an infrastructure that I don't think people are really aware of. It's heavily funded, and it is highly connected, both politically and also with the media. And so the reason I started the podcast is because I feel like people are really unprepared. I mean, I'm just a volunteer. I'm not a professional politician. I don't have a PR firm. And when you look at even smaller, school districts, if they want to take you out, they have an infrastructure to do that. And I think this really is just a test case for what they are planning to do across the country in the November elections.
That's, Allison, that's the part. As much as this is completely an aside, but what you said just really made me reflect on why we do what we do here, because I think a lot of people don't realize there's an actual coup happening right now in real
Yes.
time. It might be moving slow, but they're not done yet. And the school board level is a part of that. Allison, can you tell everyone how they can get up with you and support your work, and just get a last thought on that for me?
I appreciate that. So I'm Allie M. Collins on Twitter, and I also started Allie Collins Productions on Facebook and Instagram. I'll be sharing podcasts, but my goal is to really bring some of the folks that I've told you about to the public so they can get educated about what's happening. And I just deeply appreciate the opportunity to talk to you, and media like this is really important because mainstream media is not covering this story. And it is critical right now with all that's going on in the world. We also need to be aware that there is a war kind of happening on the ground. And there's folks who are using this kind of destabilizing time with COVID and the war in Ukraine to make moves at a local level.
That's right. Absolutely right. Allison Collins, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Can I invite myself on your podcast?
I would love to be on your podcast.
I'm tacky. I'm tacky like that. I'm tacky like that. I'll just ask and invite myself.
I think it's because the importance is this is a communications war. And I don't think people understand how much of a communications war this is. And I talk to folks, in the city, and they say, oh, well, I'm not on Twitter. And I say, yeah, but folks are talking about stuff that is going to make things, it's going to be real life. People are generating fake news that becomes real, and we have to deal with it. So media is important. We have to be media savvy, and we have to spread the truth. And your show and other shows are the ones that are getting the truth out.
Allison, thank you so much for that. We're going to follow up. I'll come over and be on your podcast anytime, and we'll have to have you back here sometime soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us. DJ exclusive, man. I hate you, by the way. I just for the record, we'll talk about it in the after party, why I hate you. Yeah, but take us to a quick break, man. Wait, let me look at the screen. Let me not do that. Let me not mess up again. Is Rebecca on the screen? Okay.
No,
Rebecca's not on the screen. What you about to say, James?
I wasn't saying nothing.
No, after party. But I hate you because it's like going to church. It's like going to church. Like when I have my Slack open, you remember going to church with a little kid and you ain't supposed to be laughing about something in church service. Here I am doing a very serious interview, and James is dropping dad jokes in our Slack. I can't stand you, man. Take us to a quick break. When we come back,
I cannot confirm nor deny these allegations.
Rebecca Azor is in the house. The show worked out perfectly because he's ready.
Dwayne, now we can hear you.
It's time for Like It or Not, y'all. 9 a.m. to 10:30, yeah. Like It or Not is on your channel, yeah. Politics.
It's okay. She don't like the long version either, just like Ben don't like it, but that's all right. I'm going to play the hell out of it anyway. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. Rebecca's coming up.
Get started now, so stick around.
Let's do the intro out of order, I guess, Dwayne, maybe? No? Right, we'll see what happens. Shout out to Allison Collins again. Thank you so much for joining us, Allison. Everybody is loving your hair in the chat, and they're loving you as well. Again, make sure that y'all follow Allison Collins again, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good story for you. Oh, Benjamin, that's my dog.
What up, dog?
I need a fast version of this. I need a Miami, Florida version of this.
I am your DJ exclusive.
And Rebecca still ain't
Y'all
in yet.
know who I am.
She in?
I stay dropping them jams. Like it or not, it's going down.
I'll just juxtapose this with another song then.
Y'all stick around. Oh,
good morning, Mama and Daddy. Good morning.
It's starting now. Like it or not. It's about to go down.
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning and welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth.
But you can see me.
I was in a lose-lose situation right there. And we can get back to the real intro in a second. Because lose-lose, because if I come to the two-shot with just Ben and Bubba, you was going to cuss me out for not bringing you on the screen. If I bring you up while you was fixing your earrings, I still got to catch some heat. So it was lose-lose. I'm used to that by now. That's all good.
It was definitely a lose-lose situation.
No, because I would have been like, okay, he sees me still trying to figure out my earring situation since the studs weren't doing what they needed to do. You see all of this happening.
The studs never do what they need to do.
I thought I could trust you today. I really did.
James.
Nah, it's too close to Friday.
Wait a minute. Welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth.
And not care who doesn't like it.
Rebecca.
Yes.
Good morning. That was so Florida. I loved it.
That was Palm Beach, baby.
Not care who doesn't like it.
Right there.
It's not Miami.
Now, before I get too comfortable, David's not here. I can't blame nothing on David. Never mind. Let me be quiet. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Nothing is David's issue. Where he at?
He took a day off.
He's taking a day off.
He said that yesterday, but y'all see what happened? The white man was still here. That's all right.
That's because the black man set him up.
I got nothing to do with this.
Right in the way.
You set up that white king to come over here on his day off.
Got David working on his day off.
Anyways, though, I hope David is taking a good day off, chilling. I don't know what it looks like in New York, but I don't know what it looks like to chill in New York anymore. I don't know what that looks like. Oof, those days are crazy. But I hope that you are enjoying your time, David. I know you're watching because you probably ain't even sleeping. Worried about how the show going.
He already called me. He already called me during the show. So
he did? Okay, because look, I was about to say, David hasn't said anything in the Slack, so David must be somewhere chilling for real. But no, okay, he called. Okay, look.
And David pulls a Ben. He pulls a Ben very, very often. Like
what's a Ben?
A Ben is when you're supposed to be off.
When you're supposed to be off.
But then you be like, hey guys. But David's profile is like, Tom from MySpace. Is that his name? Tom from MySpace. So David just be coming on. Hey, just wanted to pop in. Let me stop messing with my boy. Anyways, good morning, you guys. It's Friday, Junior. What have y'all been talking about? What have y'all been talking about?
Everything. We've been from Ukraine to popping them things. I don't know what we ain't talked about so far. So, but it's the world is yours.
Talk about popping no things. What are you talking about?
It just right.
What things are we popping?
Yeah.
Nothing. I don't know what are you talking about, Rebecca.
It rhymed. It doesn't have to make sense. Wait a minute.
You see where
I got something for us to watch.
Oh God.
Always. Anyway, so Rebecca, you do what you want to do. But speaking of rhyming that goes really wrong, did y'all see the video of that dude rapping at the?
It made me uncomfortable. That video made me very uncomfortable.
Rapping where?
In Plano, Texas, at some kind of city council meeting.
But he's actually a social media influencer or whatever, comedian. I don't know. And he took the moment. I don't know. He was rapping about Ukraine and Russia. At a committee meeting or something. You got it?
We'll get to it.
Do we have it?
When you're ready.
Yeah, because I haven't seen that one.
Hang on, let me see which number it is. But yeah, it was painful to watch. So I was rhyming, James. It didn't make any sense, but I was doing that in solidarity with this video we're gonna watch in a minute. But I digress, Rebecca. Go ahead. Well, I'm gonna find the clip for you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Because I wanted to make sure that we are, we have the name of the person who was rapping. It bothers me. I'll tell you guys why after we watch it, but it really made me uncomfortable watching it. It's
like she's cringing right now thinking about it.
I didn't like it. But yeah, while you guys figure that out, there's so much that's been happening. Look, I always start off with that. There's so much that's been happening in America. And Ben, I know that you wanted to talk about. There was something that you dropped earlier today, and it had to do with was it employment?
Oh yeah. Dang, I just said I don't want to talk about nothing else. But yes, which aspect of it though?
Do you even remember what you dropped?
Child, listen, we did.
Man, all black people always lie. You be like, you remember that? Like, yes, I do. Yes,
No,
I do.
remember. I just don't remember the story.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You did a. I honestly remember dropping it, but we did about 35 stories this morning, and I got to scroll back.
50-11 interviews, so yeah, Rebecca, you probably forgot.
Bro.
It's true. Okay.
I don't even remember my last name.
Did you guys discuss the Wells Fargo?
That's the one.
Yes.
That's the one. No, we haven't. No, we have not.
Okay. Well, it's the Wells Fargo story that you talked about. Half of it's black.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. They rejected half of its black applicants in mortgage refinancing. So talk about that. So I have something to tie into that.
Okay, so this just dropped this morning. We didn't have time to even produce this yet because I just got it this morning. But Wells Fargo rejected half of its black applicants in mortgage refinancing. Boom. So over the last few years, everybody's refinancing their homes. Mm-hmm. Well, for Wells Fargo, if you're black, only 47% of you actually got approved. Now, this is not, I want to be mindful now. Some of us apply for loans, we ain't gonna get them because we ain't ever cared about paying Sallie Mae.
Right.
This particular brother that they're talking about had a credit score of nearly 800, had the money, had other properties, he was well financially prepared to buy another home. His name is Maurice Richard III. He paid $560 to apply for a loan with Wells Fargo back in Valentine's Day of 2020 in Atlanta. Mind you, this is Atlanta.
Talk about it.
He got denied. Versus 70% of white applicants, same city, same bank, got approved. Some of them didn't even have the credit score as good as brother Richard III. Last but not least, Wells Fargo did not deny any of the statistics, but they did not make it plain as to why it looks like a systemic discrimination against black people yet again trying to get loans for their homes.
Wow.
That's the story.
Racism.
Oh, and Wells
that.
Fargo said, I think, was it? Hang on, I don't want to lie on Wells Fargo. One of the people involved in this story said this has nothing to do with race. And I'm like,
they always say that. Look, that's why
they always say that.
Right now, the word racism is the boogeyman. Remember, they always have a new boogeyman word. And right now they're really creating, Black Lives Matter was the boogeyman. Like now racism is like everything isn't about race, like that whole thing. I hate it when they do that. And it's like, no, it's plain, like it's clear racism. I didn't even have to really say it because y'all picked up what we was putting down, but I'm gonna always say it to let y'all know who always try to not pick up what we putting down. That's definitely racism. And what happens here, and this is not something that is uncommon, right? Because at the end of the day, a lot of us, especially during the panoramic, we were like, oh my God, like we can go get loans for the frizzy. We ain't talking about PPP because the people with PPP was doing other things with that. But
like buying Pokemon
we talking
cards.
about really pulling up and actually getting loans to go ahead and afford a house. Let me tell you something. Right. My girlfriend got married during the summer of the panoramic. Okay. And she put down on the house so that after, her honeymoon, they can come back and start moving in. She put down on the house 6 months before. They were doing new builds in the middle of Atlanta. Amoretta would say it's not Atlanta, but she was doing it. It was in the middle of Atlanta. And she ended up putting down on the house, new build. They finished building it out. A little bit, 6 months later, I think we were, and I'm not saying that we are out of the pandemic by any means, but for America and their standards, we were coming out of the pandemic after and during that time. And so in that area in Atlanta, they called her back. They called her back and they were like, yeah, the bank loan that you were approved for, we went and processed that again for this particular time. And we are upping the cost of your house, your home now from like 100-something thousand to 500,000. And she said,
that's a big jump.
Or are you doing that to the other people who were purchasing on that same street? Are you doing that to them as well? the same people who purchased with me at the same time, because they had like a little party for them on that street because it was like the first 5 houses and things like that. You know how they do. And they were like, we are not liable to tell you. So she went and found those people's information and started talking to them and doing research with them. She said they actually like gentrified before the home process could be over with. They gentrified to get more money. They were like, these white people are willing to pay more. The pandemic is really kind of over. We're going to start taxing people for what we consider it to be worth. And for the people who put down on this and got a good deal, we will not allow you to get that good deal. And those loans that you got from the banks, yeah, we went back and reprocessed that without your approval, without you knowing, nothing. And I think that's very, very strange. And they did it to all the people of color, because the people of color, we know a good deal. We know what something is worth, and we know a good deal. So when people were searching and going out, they found that this place, it wasn't being purchased. So especially during the pandemic, so she went and did that. And they, like 6 months later, they told her, yeah, nah, even though we finished building your home, yeah, it's a no for us. And we're going to do like
that's crazy.
$101,000. Yes, this is a true story. And right now, none of us can afford to go buy any of these homes. And Georgia is cheaper than Florida. Georgia is cheaper than New York. Georgia is cheaper than LA. And I can't afford to go and purchase me a home. When I first moved out here, they have new builds around me. Especially with the new builds of these apartments, they did like for people who want to transition out of the apartments to the outside, right? To get, to be able to transition to those bigger homes. Child, nobody was picking up what they was putting down out there. They was doing, listen, they started out at like 600,000. Then they started getting a little bit lower because nobody was purchasing, and now they stopped building altogether. You see half-built homes on the lands because nobody is willing to purchase right now. Mama called me yesterday, and she was like, "Baby, they not giving out loans to us no more, so you're gonna have to wait, and we're not gonna be buying their homes. Period." She said, "You think I want you to be renting apartments? No, we don't do that." But after, because the Haitian radio station finally told her. If the Haitian radio station told her, then she knows it's true. But they were saying that right now, the market is abusive. It's abusive, especially to millennials in this moment, because they are overpricing for homes. And they're going back to the whole lineup of black folks getting loans. We ain't giving it to them. During the pandemic, they were trying to give everybody loans because nobody was going to the bank to purchase anything. Nobody was trying to buy new houses, nothing. And they was giving us everything. And now they're like, ooh, now that we're back to normal, forget y'all. We're going back to the same model that we were doing, and that's the racist protocol. And I don't like that.
It's a standard.
That makes no sense at all, man. That makes absolutely no sense at all. So did she, and I know you said she put down money on it. Did they give her money back?
So at first they were trying to say, yeah, no. And they tried to basically change. Yes, they tried to change management numbers. They didn't even really change management. They just try to, F people over. And so my girl, she knows better than that. She's a G. She pulled up. And she threatened them. And then I told her, tell her you know somebody that could put that whole business on blast. Tell them people that you know somebody that could just drop a dime on their bidding name and it's over for them. Tell her.
That's it.
So, she let them know. She's like, I always tell them to do this because Ben did this and now I walk around doing the same thing. Know your worth. Do you know who I am? You wouldn't know. That's what Ben says to people. You could get.
I don't say that to people. Wait a minute. You ain't gonna lie to me. Oh, no, you gonna lie to me.
Out that apartment,
it gives me energy that Ben does that. Yes.
Remember when he was moving out that apartment?
Okay.
And he said, "You don't even know who I am."
I did that. No, wait. I gotta say it properly. And
I said, I gotta go do that too.
It's very rare that I do that. So you guys have to understand there's a really good story behind why I had to tell those people. You might want to Google me before we proceed. Anyway, yes. That's what I said. You might want to Google me before we proceed.
I do that too now. You can't, what? I said,
Sean, let me go ahead and start doing that same shit. You might want to Google
let me tell you something. No, Google me.
You might bring up the wrong thing, but it's going to come
it's
up.
True. I Google myself, and what happens is Twitter comes first, and my pictures on Twitter are really cute. So, but I'm like, Google me. You don't even know what I can do here. And that's how I got this place that I live in now to respect me. RESPECK, respect me. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Like, no,
should have put a T at the end. KT.
Respect. She spelled like the Kaya way. Respect me. RESPECK. You gonna respect me?
Respect me. No, seriously, I did because I had to let them know. But anyways, I told my girlfriend that, and I don't like how the market is doing black folks again. They're doing what they've always been designed to do, but at that particular moment when everything was going a little lower, they were trying to do like, let's just take it from who we can take it from. Black folks still want to be in the streets too, but if we just say, here, you can have this house, whatever. I had a lot of friends who were getting homes, and they started taking that opportunity away from us. My goal was to move into this apartment, which is a beautiful apartment, was to move into this apartment and then transition within a year and a half. I'm coming up on 2 years here in this apartment, and I'm not able to even afford what's happening in the background here. The prices is going up and down. $450 for no. What is it giving me? Do I got two? What is it? The two garages in the front. Do I have valet around the side? Do I got to park on the street, or do I got my own parking spot reserved? What is it looking like for me? Like, do you have wine down Wednesdays like my apartment complex? Because they do wine every Wednesdays. Do you have free breakfast in the morning at 6 a.m.? Is it white glove service? Do you got the car
Chick-fil-A biscuits?
Or everything. And then, my apartment complex has the car washing, free car washing and vacuum here.
What?
Yeah, detailing.
I need to pull up.
I'm about to pull up, Rebecca. I got to wash my car anyway. My car looks nice.
They do. They do have that here. And then valet trash. I mean, it's pretty good life. But at the same time, the homes across the street that's selling for $500,000, that ain't even real homes. They connected to other homes, which I don't really mind because I'd be scary out here and I might have to knock on the door, on the wall to be like, hey, y'all, I'm kind of scared. But no. Why is it that much money? Everything is just overpriced. Mama told me, she was like, just don't purchase right now. Long story short, it's a lot of things going on.
That's why I'm not in Atlanta right now.
Yeah, but Ben, Florida is a lot too. Florida is way more
expensive than it's just kind of way more. It's just bad if you're trying to find a place to live in the year of the Lord 2022. It's insane. Rebecca, was your friend in Atlanta or was it another state? I missed that part.
My friend was in. It's not Atlanta. She was in Atlanta. She was by the airport. I don't know if they call that Atlanta anymore. I don't know.
You said
I'm not worried. I'm not worried about.
She was around that area, but they were a new build. South Fulton is doing new builds and things like that.
Yes.
So yeah.
And it's gotten real bad because, like, I was just telling somebody the other day, a 2-bedroom house that's literally right here down the street from me. That's 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and I'm telling y'all, it can't be over 1,000 square feet. It's probably like maybe 700 to 800 square feet. House was going at one point when I first moved over here. The house was about 50,000-60,000. So now the house is about $200,000-$300,000 for a little nothing. Like literally nothing. Like the house, y'all. I looked inside. It's like, bruh, you got to be shitting me that you selling this house for this much. Is it that bad now? So now a lot of people are staying over here because they know if the houses are going up so high, man, I can sell a house over here now for about $400,000 to $500,000 with no problem. And it's not even a new build.
I need to get into real estate. The girls are sexy in real estate. I need to get into real estate because they making money. But there was a girl that I was watching on ATL Listing who said, I know what it's like. I sell houses for the richest folks. Yeah, they dropping money. They don't even care. They don't look at anything. They don't care. But the ones that are trying to buy their first homes, I assist. I'm like, oh, you want it in a good area? You want it for a good price? I'm willing to risk what she said, the money that she gets up front, a percentage of that. She said, I'm willing to utilize that for my clients because we build, I understand what it's like to be poor. And I understand what it's like to be not able to afford because the system is abusing you. So I'm going to front some of my money so that you can put down and get this home. And that's, it's a lot of that. I don't know. It's really rough in this market.
There's one other side to it, Rebecca, before you move on. The corporations that are buying the houses and sitting on them, right? What I own on the street that we got, honestly, people could do the math. The street we got displaced from, as we were being displaced, half of the entire street was being purchased by different corporations. And now when you go and drive through some of those neighborhoods, those houses aren't occupied. corporations like Zillow. One of those corporations is Zillow. If you use the Zillow app, you have been used by Zillow to help them purchase homes all around the country, including Atlanta. And you can't even get into those neighborhoods no more because they have enough cash to buy them and sit on them until they raise in value enough for them to flip it the way they want. That's what's happening all over the country, and especially in Atlanta.
And that's been crazy. Like Zillow and Redfin and all those apps, when they first started, they were just like for you to buy your home. But now they're buying these homes themselves. And like you said, man, sitting on them for a long time. And then finally, oh, okay, now it's time to sell these shits for like $1 million plus. Yep.
Why must they abuse us like this? You know what? I was, you know how I was laying down, and you know how I just couldn't sleep yesterday. I couldn't sleep, got off of work late. I just could not sleep yesterday at all. So I'm just rolling around. I'm thinking about life. Now, not the rest of the world's life, my own damn life. And I was thinking to myself, damn, all the opportunities that we had for one moment during the pandemic, because America wanted to make so much money. All the little opportunities that we had for that one moment, the opportunities, work from home, hurry up and create a business, get approved for random loans, hurry up and purchase a house. That one moment in time. And that was because America wanted to make money. After that, they were like, forget it. We're back to normal. I was thinking about my insurance company, Geico, and how when I first got them, it was during the pandemic. Like I switched over during the pandemic. They put me on at a low price. I was rolling around with Geico like, yeah, baby. Who? $90 insurance over here, baby. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Love that. Oh, you paid $300? Not me. That was me, right? And then the pandemic is over. These people, I just looked at my bill one day and there was like $450 to do next month. Who? I turned into an owl. Who? So I ended up calling them. I ended up giving them a call. I said, what's going on? They were like, yeah, ma'am, the charges seem to be correct. And let me see what I can do for you here. We can split this up into 3 payments, but you would still have to pay the remainder after that. But what's the remainder? Another $450. Girl, I said, what? How did it change from?
Did you get a ticket or something? What happened to make it go up so much?
I rebuked that over my life. So it went from $90 to like $100 and maybe like $30 or whatever the case may be. You know, I said that's chump change. That's what I said in my heart, but it was hurting me because that's gas money, gas money at that time. So she was like, no, I don't know if anyone told you, but you were on like some program that we had during the pandemic for people to assist people during that time. I know they probably didn't tell you that when you got signed up. They didn't tell a lot of people, but we're back to our regular rates. So you were able as a company, and not you, sweetie, because you work for them. I get it. You might be working from home. So you don't even know how they're teaching you how to go and be little assassinators. So Geico, the company, went and found ways that they said that they never had. They said that we can't help you. We can't lower your bills. We can't do anything. But then all of a sudden the pandemic comes and all this, like, you guys want to be the best company on the planet right now. So you're saying we can assist you. We can definitely chop that, 75%. We can definitely chop that 50% for you. We can make sure that things are feasible for you. So you guys can do that because the money that you made off of us, you guys profited. You guys profited during that time, the same way the fuel companies profited. And they're choosing not to lower the cost of fuel for us, the cost of gas for us. They're keeping it high. And during the pandemic, they profited billions of dollars. And I was just sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, damn, they really want to keep us down. The moment that we got the opportunity to come up, I wasn't able to come up in that time. And then I saved and I did good things and I groomed myself to be able to reap all of that stuff, right? Be able to put my hand in the pot too. And all of a sudden they're saying, pandemic's over. We don't like blacks. What don't you get?
Right.
What don't you get? And I ain't like that too much. I ain't like that too much. It didn't sit well with my spirit. Now I can't afford a house all of a sudden. Now my credit score is much better, and now I can't.
Credit score, man. I don't care about not you. Now you're talking about your credit score, but that's their way of making an excuse to just not give us whatever they don't want to give us that day.
Even with the good credit score, they're gonna be like, I went to the bank yesterday. I went to the bank yesterday. And I was in my cute little Tupac shirt, right? A little skelly. I threw on a nice nude lip, some tights that made that ass pop, you know, and some little some sneakers. And I pull up there in my Louis, right? And I set it on the table. I got on glasses and I got on the mask. I'm the only one with the mask. Now, they might think I look like a burglar at that time. Remember, I'm at the bank, right? It's giving Ryan Coogler. So, I pull up and, you know, old girl, they think I don't be understanding Spanish. They think I can't, Spanish don't drip in my ear. It sure do. I'm from South Florida. My daddy speak full Spanish. What's up? So she's over there saying something to the teller, like, make sure you check her second ID. And I'm like, look, me looking at her straight up, looking at her in her eyes. And I look at my ID and I look at her, girl, you don't get that I know what you said? I slapped the ID down before the girl could ask. She was like, thank you for your second form of ID. Girl, first of all, I put my information in. I gave them 2 forms of ID already. And they were like, because I was depositing a check. And they were like, yeah, this can't be, this like, is this really you kind of situation? A white man walks in from the back, y'all. There's a line of black folks behind me. A white man walked in from the back with stacks of money. And the lady that was speaking Spanish to the other teller, she walks by, right? The whole, like, it was just so crazy. She walks by and he stops her with his hand and he says, he has a whole wad of money in his hand. And he says, do you work here? She says, yes. He says to her, take this money and give me hundreds. She didn't question him. She didn't do anything. She grabs it, goes to my teller, drops the money to the teller and says, give him hundreds in Spanish. And I said, no, ma'am. You look at my ID, you continue my transaction, and then you get to him. And I said, before you even get to him, there's a line of people behind me, and you are the only teller here. He must wait in line like the rest of us. The man turning red. He turning red. You know who? He turning red. And I just look at him through my mask. And he's like, no one was talking. Bye. My transaction is done. Y'all deal with this. And I was out of there. But here's what we have to deal with every day. It's just like us getting loans. It's just like we can't get nothing.
That really happened, Rebecca?
Make a deposit.
Oh, this is a true story. True story. On my break. True story.
You know what?
Yeah.
Actually, no, I've heard of that before. It's coming back to me. You know why they do that? And they do it when they want to. Certain deposits, they do ask for IDs for. It's coming back to me. I've run into that before. And their excuse to me at the time was they have to make sure that they're careful of money laundering and something else, some other scam that they use as a justification for.
And I understand it completely. I said,
but no, I think it's bullshit because they don't do it all the time. They don't do it.
Yeah, but you didn't have to say it in Spanish though. You didn't have to say it in Spanish. Like, you want my ID because you are the teller and you work for this company. Speak to me. Do your job, baby. You want my ID. But this man who came in with a wad of money, unmasked, and stopped you with his hand and said, do you work here? Here, give me hundreds.
And just went with it.
And you just about to put this white man in front of you and everybody else that's just been waiting already. So you just because this man walk in with a whole thing of cash, he gets top priority. Hell, F no. You get your ass in the back of the line, you gonna wait everybody else. Rebecca, you better be glad I wasn't there with you. I'm like, I know you fucking lying. You better back the hell up.
And people are crazy nowadays. So when I do go to the bank and stuff, I have to rethink decisions to be, Harriet Tubman. I gotta rethink decisions to be so Gerald. Right. I can't just be popping up in these areas and being like, stop.
In the name of
then all of a sudden, I am stopped. Now I am either in jail or I am dead. I gotta save my life too. I'm gonna make my comments as I'm walking out. I tried to do what I needed to do, but when I felt like the man was turning red and looked crazy, I was like, let me walk to my car. And then when I got to my car, the little Spanish man gonna smile at me like this. Good job. No, you're gonna say something.
Dwayne, take me down for a second real quick. I'm sorry.
I was like, you could have said something too. But anyway, I say all that to say, I was thinking about my life and I'm tired of the struggle. Days I get up, I don't want to think about those kind of things. I don't want to think about possibly getting threatened, which I do daily. And I feel bad because one day, guys, I may have to be in the office and I may not be able to do this with you guys. sitting here with you guys because of that. But, you know, I think of the opportunities that they give to a lot of people just because of the color of their skin, or because their relationship with the people in the office or the company or their amount of money that they have in their pocket. We are held down so much in so many different ways that people like Kim Kardashian can say to us, you need to get up off your ass and work. Sometimes it's really tiring. And I understand that what she said is good. It's good stuff. It's good for TV. And it's good if it even came from somebody else that we might agree with. But for some people's lives, it's just not possible. It's not possible for a new mom who's having to work from home and try to juggle a business as well. It's not possible for her to get up and do that every single day. And for another mom who may have the help, it may be possible for them who can afford daycare to have some time away from the kid to work on their business, who can get grants so that they don't have to work a 9-to-5 job and be able to hold down the rent at that particular time. You know what I'm saying? So the struggle is different for everyone. And, you know, my struggle may not be as easy or as hard as the next person, but we all out here trying to struggle. But with something about you, when your skin has a little bit of, or a lot of, or when you black, let me just say that. When you are black, the struggle is different. We do have to work harder. We do have to work smarter. We got to work 6 jobs. We have to act like the abuse doesn't feel like abuse, so that one day we can say, you know, I worked that job for 10 years. I put my blood and sweat and tears into that company, and they allowed me to step up $3 more. And so that's a big deal, though. If we listen to the history of the people who came before us, and I hate to say that because that's what we were taught in society, but if we listen to their stories, it's like, oh, I worked for that company 20 years. I did. And I'm going to retire tomorrow. That person has wrinkles. That person doesn't really know their kids like they should. That person, you know, has had so many difficulties in their health from sitting down, facing the computer all day. That person was never heard in the meetings. Never heard in the meetings. That person was sent a general email appreciating their work. That person was never told that they could utilize their day off without penalty. That person did so much for that company, only to have 10 more years of their life given to them after retirement, after working for that company for over 20 years. Is that a life that you want? It may be something for you, but that's damn sure something I don't want for myself.
Right.
It's damn sure something I don't want for myself. I don't want to go back into that building. They threaten me every day with it, but with the life that I live and what I can afford, I may have to, because this is what works for me. I could do the jobs that I have on the side, the 20 other jobs that I have on the side, but they still wouldn't pay me enough to be able to hold everything down in totality. So it's just, you know, we all live different lives. I've tried to apply for grants. I've tried to apply for different things, and I don't get them. I don't get them for whatever reason. I've tried to apply for loans. My credit score is so much better. I just don't get them.
So you applied at Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
Chances were you weren't gonna get it anyway.
Yeah. So I wanted to just go into the direction of a different story of a Fort Lauderdale police chief who was fired over using minority first hiring promotion practices.
Oh, Rebecca.
It's a former police chief, Larry Scirotto. He says that he was punished for promoting diversity. The city of Fort Lauderdale fired its police chief, Larry, Thursday on March 3rd over allegations that he discriminated against white men in promotions and hiring. Following a thorough and extensive investigation. What are we laughing about?
Dwayne. Nope. Dwayne, no, go ahead, Dwayne.
Oh, I just dropped that myself. It was. I'm sorry.
I know, but I'm trying to find the B-roll for you because we have it from Tuesday.
Oh, you guys talked about this already.
Yeah.
You know what, guys? You don't have to laugh at me. You could just say, "Hey, back."
We were trying to, but you were like on the road. So
you is that what it's like?
You ain't hear me say.
Is that what it's like when y'all try to get my attention?
Yes, Ben.
Is that what, Rebecca? So now I understand, like you were in the zone, like I get in the zone, and I had to introduce the whole guest today, and they weren't even on the screen, so I don't feel bad about it.
Yeah. Look, Rebecca, Ben is just going. It's like, yeah, our next guest, and I'm just on the screen, just sitting here, and I'm just like, okay. So I'm just about to say, hi, Benjamin. Thank you for having me this morning. I greatly appreciate it. And then he said, in my head, but I look at the screen, I'm like, bro, like, we ain't even say we was ready yet.
I am so sorry, y'all. It's been a day.
It's fine. I want you to know. We want you to get your shine. So that's why I was finding the B-roll. I was going to let
my shine happens regardless.
So go ahead. Get your story off.
So,
Larry
anyway. Okay, so yeah, Larry Scarota, I'm just going to, I guess since we already discussed it, we'll just have a little chit chat about it. But I wanted to tie it into what we were talking about. And so, following a thorough, since you already talked about it, just act like it's new. Following a thorough and extensive investigation of employee complaints at the Fort Lauderdale Police Department, City Manager Chris Lagerbloom has determined that it is in the city's best interest to separate employment from Larry because of his hiring practices. And for me, the fact that he wanted to hire minorities first, would you guys say, since you guys already have talked about it, would you guys say that is problematic and it is reverse racism practices, within corporations or companies? Especially, this is the police department though, y'all. And for me, you should be hiring more diversity in the police departments. We know what it looks like when people just pull up. And even though the police officers are really trying so hard when they put on that outfit to think that they are equal to the white men that put on them outfits, it's crazy because once you take off that outfit and you a black man, they gonna look at you just like the way they look at the rest of us. Target practice. Right. So put some real black men on there that really care about the community. Look how I'm changing my tone. And I don't really like that because that means that because I'm talking to that sheriff man, and
he was cute, wasn't
he? You know what I'm saying? I'm talking to that sheriff man. And we be talking.
Oh wait, that other man. Oh yeah, my bad.
The other one, not the one from New York from years ago. But this one, he's showing me that he's wanting to do better. But I'm also showing him you got to show them that you can do better. He's talking about the minor training that they're doing on just police officers just because they have relationships with the police department. You know what I'm saying? It's problematic out here in the police area. So when they're trying to hire more, black people, I think that's good. But along with that, even the black people that get on, I think they should also be, they should be trained lengthy. Yeah. They should have lengthy trainings, something that is excessive so that we know that they've had the proper training before they get out there. Not only that, it makes me think about the mayor out there in Camilla, Georgia. What was his name? Rufus
Davis.
we had him on the show.
What the hell? That's right.
His name is Mayor Rufus, and he's out there in Camilla, Georgia. But even in his struggle in being the mayor, and they treated him, he was the whole mayor, and they treated him with disrespect. I'm talking about the whole mayor. They was like, you ain't nobody. We ain't giving you keys to the city, my guy. You gotta enter from the back. You gotta enter from the back of the office. It was really sad. This is a true story. And he was saying how even on the police department in this predominantly black city, Camilla, Georgia, the practices were to hire whites first.
That's right. That's right.
So I don't know if it's problematic.
That was literally what they were doing in Fort Lauderdale. And like for that police chief, he got in there and was like, okay, no. And that's what we said the other day. Like he looking at this wall like, yeah, it's not enough color up here. So let me go ahead, move them up down there to up here and just take y'all ass off the board because y'all don't need to be there. Especially for Fort Lauderdale, Rebecca. You already know. I'm glad you brought this back up because I don't even think we actually didn't even listen to the conversation that he had on the phone with them. But the whole practice itself is just is crazy. And for that, the city manager, that his I got to choose my words wisely. His saltine self was just like for you to say that he was engaging in unfair practices. Bro, how the hell you figure? We talking about Fort Lauderdale, Florida. You need to, of course, this man is hiring people from the community like he should be. So, yeah, I just hope that something else happens or he gets his job back or, just raise a whole lot of hell down there.
Yeah. Now, I was just going to say, Rebecca, this...
my camera.
No, your camera. The thing is that they want to be able to use our fight for equality and label our fight for equality as racist in order to stop us from getting equality. We're not going to get equality in this country when the police don't look nothing like our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Doesn't. I don't need white folks patrolling my predominantly black neighborhood. Get out of here. Peace, deuces. Go patrol your own neighborhood because you had to learn in a book, and you didn't even do a good job, how to blend in our community. Bye, go away. So they want to stop us from making that kind of progress. One, because there's so much money in policing. They don't want to change. They don't want to diversify for a lot of their police officers because they make good money. And because they got good pensions, good retirements. They're not going to give that away to people who look
not
like
Miami.
the black.
It's not Miami.
So of course, they want that money, man, and they keep taking it from us. And so they're going to keep doing that. But you know what? No, there ain't no such thing as reverse racism. Not today. Not on this story.
No, I don't feel like that. God, you know, when I think about what my ancestors been through in this country, I don't know what. It's not that I don't like white people because I don't have to say I love y'all, but I do.
That was all.
But it's not that but I really think about often what my ancestors went through on the island, Hispaniola, République d'Haïti. And I think about that, and I think about coming here and what everybody's experienced who could be my ancestors, because like I said, it was just different boat stops. Somebody else, one of my family members probably stopped somewhere else. We don't know, right? So all of us are just fighting this battle in the history of what these people have done to us because of what we look like. It's still a practice that is practiced right now, very faithfully in the church. So it's in religion, it's in politics, it's in corporations. I mean, capitalism is that. The black elites think that they are house ERs, while the rest of us who are working, these 9-to-5s, are field ones. It's just this whole practice and this idea. And then it's people that think that when we want to take a break and we want to rest and we want to do nothing and we want things to fall into our lap after working 95 years for America, blood, sweat, and tears, trying to get our kids to go to school, having to pay off student loans and all that. They're thinking when we want to finally rest, but we want a loan to fall into our lap so that we can create a business. We're not working hard enough.
Devil is a liar. Yeah, we working good, and money gonna come. Man, worry about.
Rebecca, what happened?
I just think about my life. I do. I really do. I think about my life, and it gets me really a little just uneasy sometimes, and it makes me feel like, is anything gonna change? Like, don't like. I'm not saying that my life isn't good, but I know that there's so much more for me to achieve, but the world tells me that I have to do 99 jobs. And I have to do certain things to, be able to get that. Trust me, like with the girls at the BBL, I love y'all for real. I do. I'm just not that girl. Like, because I would definitely say F everything. Go get me a sugar daddy and be throwing that ass. That would be my thing. I would get on trust me. But that's just not me. This is not how I roll. And, no shade to the girls at the BBLs or no shade to the Instagram models. You think I like posting every day? No, I don't care about that. I just want to be able to do the same job that the people on these white YouTube channels are doing and get the same money. Yeah. I love what I do. I do it with the passion. I do it because there's something that we're doing that makes a difference here. But going back to the office don't sit right with me, y'all. And I think about like saying no, but how that will affect me.
Same here. I think I'm in the same boat right now. I know I can get on here and talk about all the time I ain't going back in the office, but at the end of the day, if it's something that's going to sacrifice my income coming in, and I got to do it. Unfortunately, it's just like, Rebecca, damn it, you like hit the nail on the head. Like, love what I'm doing. If I could stay here all day and be on the air all day with y'all, man, I definitely would. But it's just like having to go back in there. Now I got to sacrifice my life, maybe, and my safety and my health to go back there in the office. To go in the office, because if I don't, they're going to start, hey, if you don't come in, we're going to have to start docking your pay, or we're going to start firing you. Or start that termination process.
Yeah.
And it's not because neither one of you both of you all of us basically could do our jobs from home. So it's not as though you can't do your job.
We've been doing it from home.
Like for 2 damn years.
And the business has profited billions of dollars.
We done added so many companies to our portfolio at my company. I'm just like, bruh, I can stay home. I really can stay home and do what I'm doing from right here on 2 MacBook computers. I can do whatever I need to do.
I think just get really sad. I get sad because the time I feel like is coming closer because the emails are getting more harsher. They're saying that they don't even care about masks being in the office anymore. It's optional for you to utilize it.
You know 10,000 people died last week of COVID.
Oh, so those numbers are not being reported as they once were. So because that's the thing right now, it's benefiting these corporations in the push for getting their employees to come back into the office. Working from home has been a blessing to my life mentally because I was able to break down all those things that I didn't have time to break down about. Those hours that I was working in the office, we had to really, the minute that you want to cry, you either get a phone call, you got a meeting, you got in office. So you can't really do all of that. Mm-hmm. But I was able to break down, go through all of that, shed that skin. And I don't remember the person that I was in 2019. I posted that on my
I saw that, Rebecca.
Stories. And, I think those are the things that are keeping me up last night. Because when I read that, I thought about my life and I said, God, I thought that me stepping away from politics and, because of the struggle that I was going through in politics right before, but me stepping away from politics, taking a break from it and going into corporate and sitting at a desk would be more hardworking of me because I was just too much of a free spirit bouncing from this and that and that and that and believing this dream and working so hard for it. And finally, I was like, let me just do this. And then you guys, I thought about that. I used to party maybe 3 to 4 times a week because that's how I made my extra money. Promoting these Haitian events, singing background for these Haitian events. That's how I made my money on the side. And I would be at these parties 3 to 4 times a week. And I just didn't realize that I was just, like that. Don't get me wrong, a girl loves to go out, but I was never tapping into me in those moments. And then when the pandemic came, I just shed that person off. I love her, I mean it, still got that right inside of me. But there were so many things I needed to tap into. There were so many things I needed a realization of. The first day that Ben called me and he was like, come on the show, girl. I was like, I don't really know, Ben, what you're asking me to do. I don't even think I'm that person anymore. He was like, girl, just come on. We're going to do you up or whatever. And the response that was given 2 years ago about us getting on here and doing that, it was so amazing that I was like, oh, they still mess with a bitch. They like me. They okay. They remember. And I remembered what the fight was for because even when I was working outside in the corporate world, I was in those meetings dropping political things every day. I was telling them what was right and what was wrong, how abusive the environment is becoming, why the breaks are being taken away from us, why the people who have kids I was starting wars and riots all day. I was protesting in the building. So it never left me, but I needed a break from it. But then I needed to realize what my purpose is, what I serve, what the fight would look like for me without people putting the words in my mouth or telling me what to say or how to move or what to do. What is my place in journalism in this? And I thank you, Ben, for sparking that in me again. And I do not want it to be taken away from me. I may have to go back into the office. Look, I'm getting all teary-eyed because I may have to go back to the office soon, which will mean you guys may not see me for a while. But I'm just putting that out there now. Those are the meetings that I've been having. So, yeah.
Tell them they better Google.
Look. Do you know who I am?
Bitch, do you know who I am? I'm Rick James, bitch.
Do you know who I am? I'll shut this down.
Y'all better Google me, man. Right, man. I've run this. You better watch out. I run all of this. Right. I run circles around y'all. Y'all better watch out. You better Google me.
Because of me, there were policy changes in this company. Don't never forget it.
See, I'm the reason why y'all still got this goddamn account. Don't forget that. You land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us.
Landed on us.
Listen.
Was it SUE program?
Been hoodwinked, bro.
So anyway, I didn't mean to sour the moment. I just been in my feelings about that.
Yeah, that was sounding a lot like a farewell speech.
Because I don't know what I'm trying to be honest with y'all. I don't know what.
Oh, you didn't turn your mic off.
Yeah, we lost you there, Rebecca. Well, in the meantime, we got that video. Let's. I don't know. That one's kind of cringe. That might be too cringe to close the show out on.
I got a good. No, Rebecca dropped the black women's.
Oh yeah, because I gotta do it in the name of Mac. But we got two more things to do. Whatever the Black Joy is, and this in the name of Mac. I'll read this real quick, and then did you get it, Dwayne?
Did I get what?
What I dropped in the Slack. Anyways, in the meantime, let's cheer it up. I apologize. I didn't mean to make it heavy. I just wanted you guys not to be surprised because we have, two of the best guys. Well, three, including Dwayne. Well, four, including David. You guys are a great team. So I know if I'm not here for a little bit, you guys will hold it down. So.
Yeah, most definitely. Especially big-headed ass Ben. He did good today, Rebecca. Ben did really good today. Ben held it down.
Making me have to work.
Good job, Ben.
Me have to put in all
Ben,
this
you know what?
work,
I give you something today just for you, Benjamin. Hold on 1 second.
What you got, man?
Wrong.
There it is. It didn't matter. Either one is my bat signal at the club, man. You play either one of those at the club, I'm about to turn up back before COVID. But.
Did you say something to me, Dwayne?
I said I got it.
Okay. All right. So I haven't heard from Dr. Mac, but this is for you, Dr. Mac. I haven't been here. I've been rolling in a little late. But we got March 17th for Black Women's History. It's Black Women's History Month. We're going to talk about Susan Maria McKinney Stewart. She's a physician and a hospital founder and an activist, 1847-1918. Susan Maria Smith was born on March 7th, 1847 in Weeksville, New York, now Crown Heights, Brooklyn. Crown Heights, yeah, I used to live out there. She graduated with a Doctor of Medicine degree, MD, and was a valedictorian of her class from New York Medical College for Women. This event made her the third Black woman in the history of America to receive an MD. Rebecca Lee in 1864 and Rebecca Cole in 1867. Two Rebeccas, big up. A native of Brooklyn, she was the first Black woman medical practitioner to start her practice in the state of New York, 1870 to 1895. Her incredible knowledge and tremendous skills began to surface throughout her community, which ultimately resulted in an overwhelming caseload, including Black, white, young, and old. One how you say this word? Biographer. It's a biographer. Okay, it's my Haitian syllable breakups. Biographer described her as the most successful practitioner of medicine in her sex or race in the United States in 1881. Which means she was the first Black woman. In 1881, she was one of the founders of the Brooklyn Women's Homeopathic Hospital and Dispensary, later named Memorial Hospital for Women and Children. In addition to her many activities within the field of medicine, Dr. Stewart was heavily involved in advancing women in medicine and securing their right to vote. Her legacy continues to this day, in the naming of a junior high school in Brooklyn in her honor, Dr. Susan Smith McKinney Junior High School. Furthermore, Black women doctors in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut have honored her by naming their medical societies in her honor. On this day, March 17th in 1918, practice ended for Dr. Susan McKinney Stewart. W.E.B. Du Bois delivered her eulogy.
No, that's wow.
Yeah,
wow.
It's like... So she's probably really big up north in her legacy, especially in women who practice medical. Yeah. And it's funny because we would have never known, but this lady is a mogul. And it's funny how they wanted to say that she was the first woman of her race and her gender. Well, she was the first Black woman. And I'm glad that we have come to a place where we're able to say that. It sucks that we still have many firsts, even in this time. These are the 1800s, child. And, now we have people...
Still having first.
Who are still breaking the first Black to do anything. So when you look at us and you say that you are fighting against men in your particular department, and when you look at us and you say, work a little harder, woman, Black women are still having to do it and be the first to do it, or be the first to be recognized to do it, because I never would have known about Susan. Thank you, Dr. Carl Mack.
Yeah, most definitely.
Thank you, Dr. Mack.
And before we get to the Black Joy, Dwayne, I don't know if you got that other video.
Which one is
Hold
that?
on. I think Josh may have said it is AP 5, maybe.
AP 5.
Yeah, I know what today is, right?
No, I don't have that.
Oh, we don't have. What is today?
I see it. I just gotta download it. Just go ahead.
Okay.
It's not that day.
Netflix is cracking down on password. They're trying to make people who are on the accounts pay too. Just wanted to say that.
Stop lying, really?
Yes, they trying to get people to pay who are on the accounts, and I don't like that.
Sorry to
Today
all
is St.
25
Patrick's
people
Day as
using
well,
my
too.
password.
Oh,
Right.
I got on green.
Yeah, today is St. Patrick's Day.
I got on that
that's
Toby Inigwe green. Try Jesus. That one. I got that Try Jesus green.
Oh, okay, you do. You really do. I got on the green, like it's green.
You got on the forest green. Yeah.
Forest green, right? See?
You're giving us. I got the mint green. You got the forest green.
Right.
Yeah.
But I had a video that went for St. Patrick's Day. Hopefully Dwayne can get it. So we'll see.
Well, in the meantime, Ben, don't let them charge them people on your account. I don't know how we can stop them. Tell Netflix we gonna protest.
Like, how does that even work, though? How can they even tell?
So they're testing it, though. Anybody who's outside of the account, so you're not in the household, you're not on the internet, they're going to start charging. Netflix already took $19, and that's another thing that made me think about my life. They took $19.99 out of my account this morning. I said, why am I able to afford that? Am I able to afford that? They make me think that you're able to. You went from $11.99 to $19.99. And you thought you could afford that?
They already charge you for that, though. They already charge you a different rate if you have multiple IP addresses on the account.
Wow, really?
Yeah, they did that. They did that a couple years ago.
Oh, but y'all know the reason why I don't even see that is because mine is paid for, I think, through my phone carrier. So T-Mobile pays.
Well, you're blessed and you're highly favored.
Yeah.
For me, Netflix, every month, $19. I remember when it was $9.99, $11.99, the optionals, right?
Yep. Holla at me, man.
No, I gotta do it. I can't do it no more, y'all. I can't do it no more.
$25 a month. I got you on the Netflix shows, the HBO Max, all of the shows you talking about. Hulu, every
you the hookup man?
No, I got Hulu. I got every other platform, and I don't need Netflix anymore.
You paying for them individually? I told y'all like.
No, I'm not paying for them. I'm on other people's accounts. The only account that I got is Netflix, and that's problematic.
So all of these white supremacist streaming platforms that's trying to take all our money.
So you got Peacock, you got Black, BLK.
Any show that you can think of,
I got Peacock.
You can get through what I was trying to tell y'all to get.
Is that the broken Fire
movies,
Stick?
Live TV, everything. When I say everything.
I hate you, James.
I got a Roku TV.
People are watching us now on Roku TV.
Yeah.
I have a Fire Stick. Well, I gave it to Melinda, my sister. I gave it to my sister, so we could go jailbreak hers. Oh, get another one? Okay.
Yeah, right. Y'all are
Just
talking
let
about
me
some
know.
illegal stuff on these people live YouTube stream. Oh, well, shit, there it is then. Okay, cool.
Let's hold
Can
the
I
rest of
watch
that
the-
one for the
the
after party.
Ben, we are not in the after party anymore. We going home.
I said let's hold it. Let's hold it for another after party.
We in the after party. We didn't wait past the after party.
We giving them some trade secrets here. Now you can't tell.
Oh
them the
yeah, because
bootleg
other people watch us too. We gotta wait till we jump on it first. We gotta wait till we jump.
Man, can get the secrets out.
Oh yeah, let's did it then.
Okay.
Support black business.
Support black business. Support black business.
Play some music. I'm done with y'all, man.
Yeah. And for happy St. Patrick's Day, y'all.
It's St. Patrick's Day.
We really don't give a fuck. It's not a major holiday.
It's really not. We just like it's fucking Christmas or something. Fuck you and St. Patrick's.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Wait, my thing is, are we still live? Because ain't it I never know. I never know with y'all. Because I'm like, are we still live? Happy St. Patrick's Day.
We did now.
I know. Well, anyways, go.
Oh, yeah, we
go
played worse. Shut the hell up.
No, I just said it was funny to me.
Go.
I just did not see that coming. I didn't know that.
I'm about to go mix my drinks and make them green and celebrate the little leprechaun because I'm hoping for some good blessings and some luck. At the end
I don't celebrate St. Patrick's Day, but it's a green day. I'm gonna celebrate with y'all. Green all over.
Indentured servants celebrate. You know, they got history, so they know. So we rocking with everybody. Well, I'm gonna be drinking that green drink today from the crib. I love y'all.
I'm just gonna have on some green. I'm just gonna smoke some green, so then that way the spirit of the money flows inside of me. There we go.
Church said amen.
Bye, y'all.
Church said amen. All right, y'all. Love y'all meeting, and I'm just playing my main smoking nothing. Okay? Anyway, y'all, we will see y'all tomorrow. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Thank you for all our guests that met this morning. It was a whole lot of y'all. We appreciate y'all for coming through, man. But y'all keep it tomorrow. It is Friday, March 18th. You don't want to miss it. We will see y'all in mañana. Deuces, y'all.
Good times. Live in the moment, feel like summertime. Obsessed with nature, not a world mind. The room is spinning, but I feel fine. Oh my. Chandelier, limousines. Really think I'm seeing things. Read the line in between. Yellow light, I gotta speed up.